And welcome to the show, everybody. It is another episode of the Swamp Creatures podcast. I am your host, Tim, and I got Rob here with me co hosting as well. What's going on, Rob?
Oh man, nothing much. Just trying to enjoy a week off and gonna be on a job hunt soon, so
Hell
we'll
yeah.
see what happens.
Stop living off the government dime, yo. That's my
That's
money
not
hard
what
at
I'm
work, okay?
doing. Yeah. Yeah. Just if you want to support me, it's GoFundMe at
At R. Vincent Comedy on
yeah. Oh
Twitter.
wait, do you have a drink? I don't have a drink. Yeah.
Oh
Oh
yeah,
man.
man. We're gonna do we're bringing back the 2 drink minimum. I think. Do you not have a drink? Is that what you're telling me right now?
I don't have a drink right now.
God fucking damn it, Rob. Yeah, I got a
I would
drink.
have to go get one. I would have to go get one right
Nah,
now.
it's too well. I mean, no.
No,
We
no,
can
it's okay.
we can do it. I mean, it's fine.
Mhm.
You could do it while I'm doing the intro if you can run fast. Here, I'll drink. I'll drink all of these and the one I've already started just for you. Okay.
All right, all right, all right. Sounds good. Sounds good. Next episode, I'll have a bottle of something.
I'm pretty sure that's what you said last episode.
He's catching on. He's catching on. That's not good. That's not good for me and my strategy.
Well, well, as long as you don't try to do what Mara tried to do and try to gain interest on all your fucking drinks, then you'll never catch up. So just next time he'll do it. Anyways, we got a whole lot of stuff that we're going to talk about this week. So Trump and Biden had a battle at the border. I don't know if you saw all that stuff, kind of crazy stuff there. The dichotomy between the two, how they both kind of did what you would think they would do, and I don't think it went very well for Biden. But we'll talk about that. Congress narrowly avoiding yet another government shutdown once again. It seems like we go through this battle every couple months. It feels like, and this was another one that just barely went by. There's some good things that happened that came out of this, but overall it's the same old, same old. We'll be talking about that. Also, I saw a story about a California sheriff who gave a press conference talking about how crime in California is not an accident, and he blames progressive policy and Democrat politicians. So something to watch there. Um,
I thought you were
Also,
gonna say the whites. My bad.
well, look, who are these progressive judges? Who are these politicians there? You're like half wrong.
Yeah.
You're not totally wrong. Also, soldier sets himself on fire in protest of the Israel conflict. That happened this week as well. A lot of reactions from that. Some interesting stuff about him personally. But then, we can talk about the implications of the protest and what it's actually going to mean moving forward. And then, our friend Javier Milei, he's got a message for the lawmakers down in Argentina. He's going to make changes with or without their support. So interesting stuff happening there as well. Kind of a test case for libertarian ideas. Anyway, so you didn't have your drink, so we can't do that.
Don't put it all on me. Don't put it all on me. We are starting a little early. Starting
we
a little
are we
early.
are starting a little early, and we're just doing that because we're responsible. Something that's not very common in these parts is people showing up on time and doing things.
Yep. Joey Two Guns in the chat. I see you on YouTube. So
What's up,
if
you
you guys
fucker?
are trying to chat, try to move over to the YouTube so we can see it. We're trying a new layout here. But what
Yeah,
up, Joey?
yeah, I can see him on YouTube. Yeah.
Yeah, I can see him on there. I'm
Okay,
just saying
cool.
if they're on Twitter or something else, join
They
the YouTube
should.
live. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I
Yeah.
should be able to see it either way, but yes.
Nice.
Uh,
Okay.
all right. So our first story, let's get into it. Is Biden and Trump at the border? Let's switch over here. Whoosh! Look at that, so fancy.
Nice.
Trump went to Eagle Pass this week. He made his announcement first that he was going to show up there. He spent most of his time during his speech criticizing the Biden administration. Some key quotes. You're going to do an impression, so it's some key
Yeah.
quotes from Trump. You want to read Trump's quotes?
No, I can barely even see
Okay.
the wording.
Some quotes that came out of Trump's speech. The United States is being overrun by the Biden migrant crime. He kept saying that. He repeated himself like 3 times, like saying, people say that. They say Biden's migrant crime. I say that, we've called it Biden's crime. When you hear that, just know it's Biden's migrant crime. It's all Biden's fault. The countless blood of innocent victims is on Biden's hand. That's another thing he said. And then he gave Gavin Newsom a new nickname, Gavin New Scum. That's what he's
Oh,
going
that's good. Oh, that's good.
to.
That's
Yeah.
a solid one.
Did you get to watch either of the speeches?
No, I haven't. So this is gonna be the first time reacting a little bit.
Oh, I don't have his speech pulled up because it's too
Okay, that's
fucking
fine
long.
then.
Each speech is like 20 minutes. I mean, we could do it, but we'll be here for an hour and a half watching both of them.
Gotcha.
But basically his but I watched the speech. Trump's was exactly what you would think. It's like he's like a comedian going on stage playing to the crowd. Like he shows up with very little material and then he just bounces ideas off of everybody else that's there. So he had Abbott, which was kind of weird seeing Abbott in a wheelchair. I don't know what the hell happened to
Yeah.
him that he's in a wheelchair, but he's it's just weird watching Trump
Yeah.
walk
When did
around.
he get in the wheelchair?
I don't know, dude. I thought I never knew he was
I
in a
thought he was
wheelchair.
abled. I thought he was abled.
Yeah,
I don't
apparently
know when he
not, dude.
became disabled.
Apparently not, dude. So it was kind of a weird thing watching him roll himself along the border.
Hmm.
But the one thing that everybody's pointing out about it is the difference between Biden and Trump. How Biden went to Brownsville, Texas, which I guess is what his critics were calling a sanitized location for the event. They're saying like, this is like a what do they call it, a Pintumpkin village or some shit. Basically everything's set up for you. It looks like everything's going great, but outside the city walls everything is disaster. That's
And then
kind of what.
Trump's speech, he's like, "Look, there goes one right now."
Exactly. Abbott's balls grew too big for his britches when he stopped listening to the feds. Yeah. Well, and that was the other thing that they pointed out. The difference between them two was, they go to the border and Trump goes to Eagle Pass where they have all the razor wire, the big standoff with the feds and all that kind of stuff that just happened recently. That's where
Yep.
it happened, was Eagle Pass. And so Trump's like, I'm going to go straight there where the action is. And then Biden goes meets in some fucking town hall area, like some, administrative building somewhere and talks to all the local Democrats about, what they need to do. Biden's speech was basically he started off the speech. You'll never guess, Rob. He started off the speech talking about climate change and how climate change is, leading to migration issues and the forest fires and whatever else. Like that's what's putting a lot of pressure on them. He,
Yeah,
he caught himself.
obviously. Yeah,
Obviously, you go down to the border, you talk about climate change. Like what the fuck?
yeah.
So yeah, he started off with that. I don't know if somebody kicked him in the leg or whatever, but he got over it pretty quick. Of course, all the right wing outlets are focusing on that. Like that's the big news story, that he just tried to turn it all about climate change. It was funny, but to be fair, it was like 3-4 minutes out of the 20-minute speech, so it wasn't too bad.
Mhm.
He then goes in to talk about how it's Trump's fault that the border's so fucked up because they had an immigration bill, they had this plan set forward that they were going to fix everything, and then Trump told all his homies, "Hey, don't go vote for that, don't do it," and they're thinking they're trying to use it as a political wedge issue instead of actually trying to solve the problem.
Well, if I remember correctly, like Biden's first week in office, he was just on a an executive order, um, repealing and drafting witch hunt pretty much, and uh, I I want to say he took out a lot of executive orders that Trump had pertaining to the border, and then made some as well. So it, I don't know, I don't know. You're looking at two starkly different policies
Yeah.
at the southern border.
Yeah, no. It's interesting when you watch. There was a. Let me do this because we're live and we can do shit like this.
Mhm.
There was a video. I don't think is this. That's not it. I was gonna say I could pull a video and drop it into our thing. Let me pull this out. But there was they were talking about that, about the news coverage for each one, and that's what the news reporter was pointing out, was that Trump was, or all, when Biden first got into office, the very first thing he did was repeal a bunch of laws that Trump had put on the books to prevent the immigration. And
Mhm.
now that things are going wrong, he's like, "Oh, well, we need to do something to fix this." And Trump's and his people are just like, "Well, why don't you just roll back what you already what you undid?"
Mhm.
Um, I Somebody told me there was a, while I'm looking this up. Did you watch that debate or that discussion about immigration with Dave and who's that guy he did that interview with? I didn't watch it, so I don't know.
No, I did watch the Dave Smith, Candace Owens
Did they debate
conversation.
immigration on there as well?
They talked mostly about Israel and Palestine, from what I can remember, and I think they did touch a little bit on the border. I can't really remember nothing in significance, but that was a good conversation. But no, I don't think I watched the one you're talking about.
Trump Biden border. Okay. Well, I'm trying to find this video I watched earlier. I should have saved it, but that's why we do it live. So we can come back later and edit it and make it look like it was planned all along.
Yeah, I definitely liked how the first one turned out that we did last week. That was good. That was good on the full episode edits.
Yeah. The fuck did it go yesterday? Oh, you know why? Because I'm on our channel, not on my channel. I'm like, where's this shit? Here it is. Trump versus Biden. How voters react. Let's copy this one. So we also have. I'm gonna put it in that watch together. If you want to open that up.
I got it up.
Yeah, I'm gonna put one in there. Oops, what happened? Did it add it? No, it didn't add it. Oh, it's copying the wrong thing. This one and this, not that one, and this one. So this one
Fox
first.
News anchor Shannon Bream with Fox News Sunday joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good to see you, Brandon.
All right, so the differences between.
We want to go back to our coverage over President Biden.
Okay,
I see. Can you drag and drop these things on the side?
yeah, I just moved it up.
Oh, I see. I see. Okay, nice.
Yeah. Okay.
We want to go back to our coverage over President Biden.
All right, there we go. See, guys, we're gonna get this down. It's gonna be perfect. It's gonna be great. Those are not transgender flags, and therefore I do not recognize them. And if we were in the state of Tennessee, they'd be banned.
That's right.
All right. Here we go. Let's put this full screen here. So this first one, both of these are local news reports, which are always better. Both of these are local news reports. Let me pop this. All right.
We want to go back to our.
Oh, that didn't work.
We want to go back to our coverage over President Biden and former President Donald Trump's visits to the border. They both agree that the situation there needs to change, but their plans to reach that goal are very different. Definitely want to bring back Camilo Montoya Galvez from Del Rio, Texas right now. Camilo, thank you for talking about this because a huge issue we know for voters here. Talk about the differences in the messaging between President Biden and former President Donald Trump regarding the border issue, and how is this being received by potential voters in Texas?
How do you think he's going to sound? Look at that guy. How do you think he's going to sound?
Slight accent. I think if you kind of set me up. Like
I think this guy. I will look. This
what do
guy,
you think? Does he have a deep voice or something?
As soon as he started speaking, all I could think was this guy has some good DSL.
Oh, no. Good morning, Jared. The U.S.-Mexico border, as you know, has long been at the center of this national debate over immigration, but it is also now front and center in the 2024 campaign for President Biden and former President Donald Trump came to the Texas border yesterday to essentially blame each other, Jared, for the country's intractable immigration problems and crises that have bedeviled Republican and Democratic presidents over the past 3 decades. In Eagle Pass, Texas, former President Donald Trump blamed President Biden for the record levels of illegal crossings here along the border over the past 3 years. He cited recent crimes committed by undocumented immigrants and called the situation here an invasion. We do have to underscore, of course, that there's no military offensive here, and the data that is available on this issue does not indicate that migrants are committing crimes at a higher rate than native-born Americans and U.S. citizens.
It's funny that he says that, but in something else that I just was reminded of while he was saying that is during Trump's speech with Abbott standing nearby. When Trump handed the mic over to Abbott for him to speak, because I watched that part too, Abbott said that they had just deployed. He said, "This is a war. This is a war zone. We've created this new. We have our own immigration czar. We've set up our own paramilitary basically to deal with the situation." So it's funny that he makes all these disclaimers, during that.
Yeah. Texas is going all in, at least from what I saw Abbott's speech, I think a couple of weeks ago, whenever he was talking about adding some updates to the different National Guard facilities and even creating new facilities down there. You know, not saying I'm for it or against it, but they're definitely throwing money at it and kind of making it a priority for the state to be able to tackle this ongoing issue.
Yeah, I heard somebody was talking about like, oh, well, why is he doing it now? Well, he's been governor for however long he's been governor now. Like, why is it just now that he's worried about it? And you know, part of it's like election stuff. Somebody else said like, oh, well, he's got different priorities. You know, he had to secure gun rights first. It's like, okay, like maybe, I don't know. Did y'all see Mexico is joining BRICS? No, I did not see that.
Yeah, I did. I did see that. That is massive. I think I saw Clint Russell or someone tweeted out, and he said new World War III front unlocked.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
No, I did not. We'll have to. There's a point where we can talk about that later with Argentina. But yeah, no. I did not hear that, and I'm going to be looking it up after the show.
Meanwhile, in Brownsville, Texas, President Biden used that opportunity, his second border visit, to blame President Trump, former President Trump that is, for the collapse of a bipartisan deal in Congress that would have updated the U.S. immigration system for the first time since the 1990s. So these events were obviously very political in nature, but residents here in communities like Del Rio and Eagle Pass told us that they do not want political theater on this issue, Jared. They want concrete policy solutions.
Camilo, a lot of people hoping for some movement there. Thank you.
He does kind of like hide those lips like
Shannon Bream.
better when he's not talking, you know? Like, well, you said once he started talking, like I could not keep my eyes off that man's luscious lips. It was insane.
I was just thinking DSL.
That's insane.
This is another local news report, and then we'll pull off the videos for a bit. But this is another local news report, and there was some interesting stuff in here. This video is what I was reminded of when you were speaking earlier.
Hey, Fox News anchor Shannon Bream with Fox News Sunday joins me now. Good morning to you.
Good to see you, Brandon.
All right, so the differences between President Biden and former President Trump really showed yesterday in their vastly different approaches to the border crisis.
Yeah, President Biden says they need more money. He needs Congress to pass sweeping legislation that would help him to fund more border agents, more immigration judges. Here's the thing. They both, on both sides, admit that there is a massive problem at the border, but they don't agree on how to solve it. President Trump will point back to what he did during his time, a number of executive orders, the Remain in Mexico policy. Now, some of that got caught up in the courts for years, and that made it less effective. But he points to the numbers and says, listen, you undid a lot of my stuff on day one, and look at the explosion that we've had in the 3 years since. So when President Biden said yesterday, I'm asking President Trump, come work with me, let's solve this together, you can imagine there's plenty of skepticism on the other side of the aisle.
All right, so what's next here? Does President Biden issue or even redact what he did on day one? Could Congress step in at this point? I mean, we are in March now. Election day is 8 months away.
Yeah, so, you know, the Senate deal fell apart. There is still a bipartisan deal that's...
Where the fuck did that storage container come from?
Yeah.
It's like, like you can't just put that shit across the water. Like somebody dropped that shit right fucking there. Like, oh, you got razor wire here? Let me just put this fucking storage container.
That's one of the Amazon new millennial homes that everyone's trying to buy.
That's one of Elon Musk's prototypes.
I got Mexicans on my roof. No. Yeah, the side by side of Trump and Biden right there just reminded me of the campaign, the movie. Like, why aren't these guys in the same spot, giving speeches back to back, just competing? That's what I want. That's what everyone wants.
Yeah, I want to put them in a ring, UFC fight, clear them both. Let's go.
It's a mess. I love that movie. It's such a good movie.
You know, the Senate deal fell apart. There is still a bipartisan deal that's working in the House, whether they can get something done there. It's not going to be a huge, massive overhaul to the immigration system, but it may put some things in place that would stem the current flow in some ways. It's still doubtful. So there are murmurings that the White House is getting more serious about the president potentially taking executive action. He's got a ton of pressure from progressives in the far left of his party saying, no. What we're hearing is some of the stuff that President Trump was doing. You blasted that. You called it cruel. We are openly going to oppose you if you even think about taking any of those specific actions.
All right. No doubt you'll be addressing this Sunday morning.
Yeah. So
do we not have detention camps anymore? I'm pretty like the kids in cages, the whole thing that Trump had going on. That has pretty much always been a thing. Biden had that going on too. Is that still going on?
I
Like,
don't
how are you
think
going to keep
so.
that going on with all these people
I don't think
freely
so.
coming and going?
I don't think they have like Remain in Mexico or any of that kind of stuff anymore.
Mhm.
I know he repealed a bunch of that, like she was saying there at the end, due to pressure from progressives and other left leaning people in Congress, that they just wanted to stop all that because it's racist. So yeah, and
Well,
then
I
like
mean, keeping people in cages, maybe not. Like, don't. I'm not saying it's not racist. That definitely. I'm just saying, like, don't maybe not do that, but like, take them back.
do you think if a person invades your property that it's racist to put them in jail?
No, I'm saying take
Oh,
them back. Like, take them back to Mexico.
back where you came from, boy.
Yeah, pretty much. But like keeping them in a cage, and then that's costing taxpayers money too. Honestly.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. There's not an easy solution there. I would say, like, I guess my own position on immigration in the whole thing is I'm not really for open borders. I think that's stupid. But at the same time, like it's like private borders, right? Like just stay the hell off my property. And then if my neighbors want to take in a bunch of immigrants, does that really matter to me? Probably not. But once it starts encroaching on my life, I got private property, I got rights too, and so I think that's where I draw the line. It's not an easy answer. It's not an easy solution. I don't think we should have closed borders, like Ron Paul always said. If you're gonna have a wall, just remember that wall keeps people in just as much as it keeps people out. And so that's always something that I think about every time somebody talks about building a wall. At the same time, I also believe in the free flow of people. And so like you should have free movement of travel. You should go wherever you want to go. Then again, the United States is a city of citizens, a country of citizens. And so if the citizens decide we don't want no outsiders, and we say this is our land, get the fuck out. I mean, I don't know. That's their choice. So
Yeah, I think if you're open borders, you have to first eliminate, all these social safety nets that are in place that people coming over can take advantage of. You can't allow millions of people to partake in a system that they're not paying into,
yeah,
because then the system just collapses. It's not able to hold all of these people. And I think you gotta eliminate the drug war, specifically dealing with Mexico. You gotta at least decriminalize or legalize a lot of things, because we're getting a lot of these drugs coming into America that are laced with like fentanyl or something like that. It's causing a lot of deaths in America. And so you legalize that, you cut the cartel off right there. And then I think I've always said one other thing. You got to eliminate the social safety net and the drug war, and probably you got to do something about minimum wage, because these people are working for pennies on the dollar, and you got to allow people to be competitive in the market, right? You got to allow Americans to be able to compete with laborers coming over. And I know people will say, well, they're not stealing the same jobs that Americans have, and they are at this point. Like, there's too many of them taking a lot of jobs, right? And you got to allow people to be able to competitively pay
right,
workers for their value.
right. Yeah, I don't know. I was just so distracted from the beginning of what you were saying. You want to legalize fentanyl. That's what I heard.
No,
That's
no,
what
don't
no.
spin it like that. I mean, it's coming over. The drugs that are coming over are very concentrated because they got to get it over, and
Yeah.
so when they cut it, it's bound to be laced with something. Even people are now wanting fentanyl in some of these crazier places. Like, I don't know, have you seen Kensington? Did you see that Channel 5 documentary about Kensington and the street where all the homeless people are doing trank and like fentanyl laced drug? Yeah, it's
You mean
bad.
like
It's getting out of hand.
tranquilizers or like what?
They call
What
it
is
trank. I think it is kind of some form of a tranquilizer, yeah. But it turns their skin to like, it's like rotting their skin. Like they get little scales. Looks like gray scales from Game of Thrones.
Yeah, don't forget the dollars lost on healthcare costs because illegals use the ER like a walk-in clinic and don't pay their bills. Yeah,
Mhm.
true. I mean, like all of that contributes to it, and that's kind of the point I was making. Is like if
If you
once,
eliminate that though, then can't we like then sure, maybe open borders, right?
right,
Or
yeah,
and like ultimately we would like to have that area privatized, but you know, you win some, you lose some, you can't have them all hassle off, whatever. I think I think you got to start undercutting these policies that are allowing these people to like take advantage of the American taxpayer.
yeah. No, I mean, there's a whole lot there. Um, kind of leads conveniently. So I'm going to take the segue while I have it. Going into discussing another government shutdown. Every couple of months it happens. We have another one of these shutdown debacles or one of these showdowns where Republicans say you got to cut spending, Democrats say you got to spend more money, and they can't come to an agreement, and then they wait until the very last minute, and then they pass some omnibus spending bill or some other type of continuing resolution or something like that to make things go past. Um, and it happened again this week. It didn't make a lot of news because it wasn't really a high chance of a shutdown actually happening. But it did get close again. I think the shutdown was supposed to be Friday, and I think they got it done maybe Thursday, something like that. Doesn't really matter. So there's a new temporary agreement that they came to. None of the agreements, important to note right up front, that none of the agreements contain any military aid or other kind of aid to any foreign, like Israel, Ukraine, even Taiwan was mentioned. None of those get any money. So this is going to be it's going to be continuing resolution, I guess. It's another one. This one's only going to last a couple weeks. We're going to have another showdown. I think that they said the first deadline was March 8th and the next one was March 20th, something like that. Historically, I thought this was interesting. I decided to look it up. When is the last time that the U.S. government actually passed a budget that actually, like, to avoid a shutdown on schedule, like on time?
Mm-hmm.
And it's only happened 4 times since 1977. that Like every other time they've either been late or risked a shutdown because of the whole thing. So it was like something like 77 was one, then there was like 87 during Reagan, and then it was like 97 and maybe 98, somewhere like that, like Bill Clinton era. Like those were the last times that the government did what it was supposed to do, or Congress did what it was supposed to do, allocating funds on time.
I could have sworn that we during Trump's um, administration, there was a couple times that a shutdown was threatened, and
Oh yeah,
I thought he even shut down at one
yeah,
point.
yeah.
Okay, okay, okay.
There was a very famous video with Trump, Schumer, and Pelosi, and I think whoever the Republican leader at the time was in the room, and Trump's like, I'll take the shutdown. I'll have a shutdown over this. I don't care. You could blame it on me. It doesn't fucking matter. Like he didn't say effing matter, but
Yeah.
he was saying like it doesn't matter. Like I'll take the shutdown. Yeah, that was a very big thing that happened then. So yeah, it definitely happened. It happens every time. They always threaten it. Joe Biden, of course, says that this is a great agreement, but the job's not over. We have to prevent the next shutdown. Chuck Schumer says, let's finish the job. And he's spent his whole time talking about bipartisanship, a bunch of stuff there. Mike Johnson, the new Republican House Speaker, said that the agreement, that he was spinning it as saying like, well, this agreement's better than previous agreements because we're actually starting to break up bills. That we're, instead of having one big omnibus bill, we're splitting it up. So this first split, I don't remember all the agencies. There's like 8 agencies or something like that are in this first one. And it's like Department of Agriculture, like basic stuff, I guess. And then the other side, the military funding, the DOTs or DHS, all that kind of stuff, Homeland Security, those are in a separate package all by themselves. And then his pledge to everybody else is saying like, well, this is a positive step moving forward because now we're starting to split these. Instead of having one big one, we're going to do like little chunks, and then we're going to split it further and further. That's what his spin is. But if you talk to Bob Goodman, he's the chair. I thought it was funny. The NBC article calls it the far right, the far right group, the Freedom Caucus. Bob Goodman says that this is just failure. This is the failures of the past continued on. We've made no measurable difference as a Republican majority. So basically he's saying nothing changed here. It's the same shit it's always been. You know, we just continue doing this. There's no hard strikes at government spending. Couple things that got through. You know, Rand Paul got an amendment to curtail some of the Fed's power. So he got something that he wanted out of it, and something I think that we could probably agree with. And then Josh Hawley, the opposite way, got an amendment to compensate radiation victims. I don't know what radiation they were suffering from or whatever. I cringe anytime government gives more money to more alleged victims.
Yeah. You know, I think I'm a radiation victim. I think I need some compensation.
I've got 3 sources of radiation right here.
There you go. Yeah, right. Yeah, the 5Gs are getting into my skin. Yeah, I don't know. Like, I see the strategy of breaking it up into like smaller bills, but what's the difference if you pass all of the bills?
Right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It doesn't fucking matter.
It doesn't matter. You're still doing the same thing. So,
Yeah.
yeah, man, I don't know. We're spinning ourselves silly.
I think we are going to see a difference in foreign policy, though. Like, there does seem to be, from my perspective, a lot more pushback about foreign aid and just funding wars for no reason. Like, they funded Ukraine early on, like initially, but now nobody wants to fund it. And so,
yeah, I think most of the public is against it, and then most of the public is even on like just the Democrat side. They're not for this Israel war, and you know, they just dropped some humanitarian aid to Gaza. That video came out of tanks unloading on the Palestinians who were trying to get to some of the food and aid, and I think it killed like 102 Palestinians. Wow. So that's not good for Biden if he wants to keep that war up. I mean, the progressive left is not gonna like that at all.
Yeah. No, I agree. And like, they're going to find all these different reasons to support or not support. Sorry. I don't know how they're looking on the Taiwan front. You know, China is always looking to take Taiwan whenever they fucking can. But, you know, I haven't seen any movement on that. But yeah, definitely with the Ukraine stuff, I see the Republicans pulling back from that. With the Israel stuff, I see the Democrats pulling back from that. So I think isolating those bills specifically for foreign aid, I think that'll start to make a difference. When will we actually start making a difference when it comes to like the majority of the government's debt, like entitlement programs and stuff like that? Probably fucking never. Like,
yeah, probably never. Yeah. I mean, the China-Taiwan thing is kind of looming, right?
Yeah.
Like, that's one of those things that if it popped off tomorrow,
yeah,
that would just be insane. That would just be absolutely insane to me. And the fact that China is like super. They want to be the big boys of Asia. They want the entire South China Sea, or at least 90-something% of it, and they definitely want to unify China with Taiwan. It's just it's one of those things that's going to be a regional challenge forever.
Right.
And so we're the main power against them. I don't know. I've always said you gotta put the power back into the country's hands, like Japan, Vietnam, the Philippines, any country that has the power and capability to, you know, economically and even militarily stand your ground in your own lands. Because China fights they've fought the Philippines, they've killed Filipino military personnel battling over islands. They build their own islands. So that's one of those things that, in order to keep trade routes open in the South China Sea, you got to do something about it. And I can see where you're coming from. And then a lot of people are like, libertarians are isolationists. Well, maybe, but at the same time, we like free trade, and we as the United States, we should do something to enable those other regional powers to be able to fight back against China, right?
Yeah, I'm not an isolationist when it comes to my neighbor. I just don't want him on my fucking property without my permission.
Right.
And
we're way the hell over there. We're way over there.
And I'm sure my neighbors feel the same way. It's like they don't want me coming over. Or if I do come over, I knock on the door. I don't just barge in the front door and tell them how to cook dinner.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know.
No, but China's claim to the South China Sea is absolutely insane. Like I had to write, I wrote a paper on that back in law school, and it was like they have a historical claim to the South China Sea, but it's like so fucking does everyone. They're like we
Yeah,
used
yeah.
all of the ocean.
No, the air over my house is my air, and you can't
Yeah.
fucking have it.
You don't even breathe it.
Yeah. Well, speaking of, Joey was asking, do we have faith in Grok breaking down the bills? If Grok is Speaker Johnson, no, I don't have any faith in them actually being able to. Apparently they're breaking out the bills. They at least split them in half. Does that make a difference? Like Rob said, no. Like if they're just gonna pass the bills anyway, then what the fuck's the point? Like,
But I'm sure he knows that. I'm sure he knows that going into it. He's
Johnson
like,
knows
okay,
that?
yeah, because if that was his strategy, and he's saying we are doing this so we can cut spending, and then you end up not doing, like, you know what you're doing. If you do it just to be kind of sneaky
Right.
and be like, oh, we only passed a $20 million bill instead of a $180 million bill or $1 billion bill,
Right.
then people are going to catch on.
Well, look here. This was from.
Oh, wait,
this,
look at what we have here.
this is a Pew Research thing where they broke down. This is like the quote unquote mandatory spending that they have to spend each year is 62% of that budget. So this bottom section here, they don't even vote on this. This is Social Security, Medicaid,
It just passes.
all that kind of shit. They're not allowed to vote on it because it's written into law that they have to spend, whatever money they have to spend. So this 62% doesn't go anywhere. It just keeps going up and up and up. And then, the interest on all this debt here is 10%. So 10% of that, again, not anything that can be negotiated. This is money that you borrowed. So you're talking 72% of the government's budget is non-negotiable. Like you have to pay it or you default. Like those are your choices. And then the 27%, this is what all of the debate is about, is what we're going to spend all this money on. So just kind of crazy there. A graphic I found interesting. We're kind of, adding some more context to the story. The U.S. debt continues to rise at a rate at 1 trillion every 100 days. So pretty much every 3 months, we're hitting another $1 trillion in debt. As of January 4th, we just hit $34 million in debt. And then I pulled up a calculator to help me out. So in around April 13th-ish, we should hit 35 trillion. So right in time for tax season, we should hit that 35 trillion mark. In response to this, gold and Bitcoin, of course, are on the rise, often viewed as hedges against the dollar and inflation. Moody's Investors Service. Moody's does a lot of like the credit rating for a bunch of different agencies, but they also do a credit rating for the United States and all this stuff. And it says that the deficits will remain very large and significantly weaken debt affordability, the government's ability to pay back that debt. So they have downgraded the United States from stable to unstable as far as they look at the debt. So all of these, programs, we were talking earlier about how, immigration plays a role in this because they go to hospitals and they use up resources and stuff that they don't pay for. Government steps in and pays for that, whatever else is going on. We're just wasting money, just spending it. But everything's cool, Rob. Doesn't matter. Because we could just MMT our ways out of this.
Yeah, Bitcoin is up a lot, and I think it also has to do with like the El Salvador was it El Salvador president that spoke at CPAC?
Yeah,
and yeah, him, and maybe even Javier Milei in Argentina talking about competitive currencies. Milei wants to switch to the dollar, but he's also talking about the Bitcoin, and the one Bitcoin. The one. And that's what we should be talking about is competitive currencies.
Yeah, I'd like to see that. Like, I'm not a fan of Bitcoin. I think it's stupid and a waste of money to spend something on a digital asset. But I'm not against, like, I don't want it illegal. If you want to put your money in Bitcoin, I say go for it. Like, the more currencies competing, the better for everybody. Competition is good for everyone. It doesn't matter, like, what it is. So, yeah, like, I can't think of anything where competition wouldn't be good. and adding to all this debt, some more added context to that story is there was a report that came out recently from the Daily Mail. Let me pull this up over here.
Oh, the Daily Mail.
Daily Mail is kind of weird, right? Because it's a tabloid, but you get stories here that you wouldn't get anywhere else. And usually what I've noticed with the Daily Mail is they'll go into like deep detail about every little thing. So this report from the Daily Mail says that that America's 125 million guaranteed income giveaway. So it's obviously a headline that's going to catch, or it's a title that's going to catch your eyes. But this is what they're talking about here. Is if you let me see, is it possible for me to just look at this bigger? So basically, what they're talking about is when you total it across everything. When you look at, like, for Atlanta, for example, near me, 275 people receive about $500 every year. And so that totals to 1.7 million. So the 125 million that they're getting is nationwide, but this is just another thing that gets added on to the debt, is all of this money that we give out in entitlement programs, welfare, whatever it is. This is not Medicaid. This is cash. This is like just money in your bank account. A stimulus check from the government is basically what it is. Now, this fine
I don't think that's
lady-
quite that number, because I just multiplied.
whatever.
I just did the math.
I'm just going off their headlines. I'm not doing the math. But
That math
this-
in Atlanta is like 137,000
per month.
Oh, is it per month?
Yeah.
Okay.
So what is that? Times
12. Yep, that's about it. It's
Okay.
1.65.
And what they say, 1.7. So
1.7, yeah.
Not far. Anyway, this fine lady, she ended up.
Oh,
getting,
my Atlanta.
You would think she's fine, but if you look closely, I see stretch marks. Anyway.
Hey, ain't nothing but a thing, dude.
This fine lady, I think this is her, Kathleen Miller, or no, it's this lady. One mother of three in Washington, D.C. spent more than half of a $10,000 lump sum payment on a luxury holiday vacation to Miami, along with a new wardrobe for her children and a glow up for herself. And I guess that's her glow up. I don't fucking know what a glow up is.
Yeah. I mean, she's glowing up. Look, and I almost would rather my money go to her than Ukraine. I don't know.
Yeah, true.
I don't know. But honestly, I'm on the fence. If we got to fund, what's her name? Cathedral?
Cathena.
If we got to...
Canetha.
I think...
Canethia. I don't fucking know, man. It's too many syllables.
I say we fund Canethia. I say we fund her and her glow up and all three of her kids indefinitely forever. And we get rid of the spending in Ukraine. I think that's a solid policy choice.
I don't know. If you continue reading through this story, like this lady here says that she took all the money that she got and put it in a savings account for her kid. We'll see how long that lasts. There's other people in here. I guess this is Bowser, the mayor of DC. Apparently, she has one of the most egregious programs. This person here is saying that, the $1,000 a month that they've had for 3 years has kept them from being homeless. This lady here is a single mom of 5 in Long Beach, who's also part of the California scheme. Was tearful and said, "I'm able to save up and hopefully do things with my kids that I've always wanted to do." So maybe they don't really need the money, but it allows them to enjoy themselves and stuff like that. But this is all it's just one more fucking thing that's just going to keep driving us down. Just giving away all this free money. It's not free, but they think it is.
Yep. It's the people's money. And that's like that guy, I forgot his name. I think he was on Joe Rogan's podcast, or maybe he was on Tucker Carlson's podcast talking about how much the government spends on just soda and like SNAP and food stamp programs. Yeah. And it's like all of that money's going to to buy sodas and to buy unhealthy foods, and people use that money and it kind of perpetuates unhealthiness, overweight people, and gives money to big, huge corporations.
Yeah.
On top of that,
I think more important than that to me is like you want all this free healthcare, but then you want to eat fucking look. I like Thin Mints. I got some right here. I've been eating them. It's great. I like Chinese food. That's what I have for dinner tonight. I eat unhealthy as fuck. I've got here. This is all just within arm's reach. I've got a big ass thing of Mountain Dew.
But it's with your money. It's with your money.
Right.
It's not with everyone's money.
But they want everybody else's money to have this lavish lifestyle that I lead.
And again, why can't they?
If I'm not gonna get sick and go to some hospital, I'm just gonna fucking die like a man. Okay.
Yeah. Well, why shouldn't they have Mountain Dew, right? If Ukraine can get all these bombs and aid and whatnot, why can't Cathedra have a little Mountain Dew?
What the hell is her name? I can't even say it.
I think it's Cathena. I think it's Cathena.
Canethia.
Well, I couldn't see the whole article. It's very small font. Sorry, Cathenia.
Yeah. No,
I support her glow up 100%. I don't see what the problem is actually.
Rob doesn't have a problem with stretch marks. He's all for it, dude.
Yeah, man, just a little bit. I think I don't know, man. Hey, look. Money's being spent.
Yeah. Might as well get you some. Yeah.
And that's what their whole mentality is.
Yeah.
I think.
Well,
why not?
That's how I felt during COVID. It was
Yeah.
like, I don't fucking care. Like, I'm not going to, what am I going to do? Take the money out and throw it in the trash? Do my part for inflation? Like what?
Yeah. In 2008, when the banks got the bailouts, what did they do with the money? They put it away. They, all the bigwigs kept their raises, and then they laid off everyone else.
Yeah.
And then same with COVID.
Yeah. That's happening a lot right now, man. I know of a lot of big companies that are laying off. It's not just the stuff you hear in the news too. There's a bunch of companies that are laying off people, and some of it has to do with AI. Some of it has to do with just not being they've overextended themselves, in debt or whatever it is. It's going to get rough out there before it gets better. That's all I know.
Yeah. I think they should put the Neuralink into all of the migrants and put the AI program in there and let them work. Like, I think that's
what does that do?
I mean, that's going to be the closest we're going to get to everything being robotic and closer to a utopia, Tim,
Why them? Why can't I have the robot job?
That's their ticket. That's the ticket in. They get the Neuralink and the mark of the beast.
Instead of gaining citizenship by joining the military, you subject yourself to Elon Musk's human experiments.
Military, McDonald's, they can do whatever they can do, and we benefit off of that work. That's the plan.
Yeah, don't we? Well, according to Democrats, that's what happens right now. That's what happens right now. They just risk deportation.
Yeah, but they will be under the Neuralink control.
Yeah, Joey
in this
says
plan.
Joey's got the solution. Just $7,000 an hour minimum wage, or you're a racist.
I mean, he's got a valid point. I don't see why we should not be making $7,000 an hour.
Well, if you could ever pass the fucking bar, you would.
Yeah, I know. Probably not even that much. Honestly, I still wouldn't make as much as the Island Boys or the Cash Me Outside girl or about a million OnlyFans creators.
Completely unjust.
I'm going to have to start doing legal practice on OnlyFans if I want to make any sort of money to buy a house in my generation.
Once you are a certified lawyer, you should get on Minect. Real talk. But, we'll deal with that another time.
On Minect? Yeah, you got to tell me about that.
I thought you watched PBD. You don't know what Minect is?
I watch PBD, but not all the time.
Yeah, it's his thing. It's basically you pay by the minute. So if a lawyer will charge you $200 an hour for his advice or whatever,
yeah,
you charge by the minute.
Yeah, that's good.
Instead. Anyway, let's talk about this guy. U.S. Airman dies after setting himself on fire outside the Israel embassy in Washington. This soldier, he live streamed his event, or this event. He did it on Twitch, I'm pretty sure. In the video, the soldier you could hear him saying things like he'll no longer be complicit in genocide. That was his whole thing, is he thinks there's a genocide going on in Palestine. Once he set himself on fire, he just kept yelling, "Free Palestine, free Palestine." Caught himself on fire. I'm sure everybody had seen it by this point. Yeah, it's very hot. He was a cyber defense operations specialist. He was on active duty since May 2020. He was making all kinds of comments about, like, he couldn't live with the things that he had seen, or being complicit in some of the Army's actions over in the Middle East, and he just didn't want to be involved in it anymore. There was actually somebody asked him, because he had a long history on Reddit before this, and somebody had asked him at one point, why don't you just quit? And he's like, well, people will criticize me for not quitting, but they don't understand, like, I don't have many prospects for the future. So basically admitting that he doesn't have much going on. And, this was kind of like his only way out, or his only way to serve a purpose, he thought. Some other context for this. Well, we'll get into that in a minute, but what do you think, Rob? Did you see the video? What did you think?
Yeah, no, I saw the video. That is it's a very tragic video. The sad thing is that the war is going to keep going on no matter what he does, no matter what kind of attention he's brought to Palestine, the Israel-Palestine conflict. And I was thinking exactly what you said. It's from the stuff that he's seen. And Joey, you're not funny at all in the chat,
No,
saying
that was
talk about a
hilarious.
glow up. Yeah,
that was hilarious.
I know. I'm just messing with you. That was funny, but what's not funny is is how serious this actually is. I mean, he did bring attention to it. Biden sent some aid over there, but at the end of the day, this is what these guys are going through. He was in the Air Force, right? Yeah. So he's probably helping out with droning, different kind of drone missions and shit. Dude, like, no telling what he's seen, and no telling what these people go through on a daily basis, and they have to go through with it because they're orders, and that's it's unfortunate.
Well,
there's nothing much else to be said that hasn't already been said. It's sad. He's young. This whole conflict is wrong.
So it sounds like you're probably on the other side of this argument, because there's two. I've noticed that there's been two reactions to the whole thing. There's been the people who are kind of saying what you're saying, that, like, this is tragic thing that happened to this guy. It highlights, some of the problems with military and what we're doing over there and our involvement overseas and all this kind of stuff. And then there's another side that says, this guy's a fucking idiot. He wasted his fucking life. And, now that they're delving deeper into his background, the sympathy for me is waning on the guy.
Mm-hmm.
But, at the same time, I can't help but realize, like, he's a human being. He obviously was dealing with a bunch of shit. Like I was saying in the beginning, he was making comments about how he had nothing to live for, and nothing was going on in his life. Like, people don't commit suicide who have things going on in their lives. If you have something to look forward to, then whatever. So obviously this guy was suffering for something. But there's people who are looking at him like a martyr, which I'm sure is what he wanted to be recognized as. And there's other people pointing out, you just wasted your fucking life. Like, I saw, are you familiar with Destiny? You know who Destiny is, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So Destiny's comments on the whole thing were like, all you did was ruin your own cause, because Destiny's a big democracy guy. So he's like, all you did was -1 vote for your cause. and,
Damn.
and Destiny's hardcore on that shit. But
yeah, maybe he swayed a few people. You never know. Maybe he enlightened a few people. But yeah, I think two things can be true at the same time.
Okay.
Is it the smartest thing to set yourself on fire for a cause? No. Especially one that's gonna roll along like unbothered at all. But at the same time, he did bring attention to it. This is like a kind of an Eastern protest tactic. I think I
Right.
remember seeing like a Hindu or a Buddhist extremist set himself on fire.
Yeah, those are the famous ones. Yeah.
Yeah, back in the day. And I don't know, like I don't think he's an idiot. I think you have 22 troops a day that are killing themselves from suicide, even more now,
Yeah.
dealing with PTSD, and America doesn't have the infrastructure to support its troops that are fighting all of these endless wars. If I'm being serious, but then on another note, on a lighter note, I would rather people do this than block highways. That's just like I don't ruin my day. I don't know, but the the actual video. Sorry, the actual video was hard to watch. He took out that can, looked like about a gallon thermos, and
Looks
just
like a coffee cup.
yeah, and
Like a
poured
coffee can. Yeah.
yeah, poured it on himself, and then looked like he had a little trouble lighting himself on fire at first. And some guy was like, "Hey, what are you doing?" It's like, "Hey, can I help you?"
Because the idiot poured the liquid on the lighter. You don't fucking do that, dude.
Yeah, but what bothered me about the video too was the cop that just had his gun on him the entire time. It's like, dude, he is on fire. You could be doing something to try to put it out.
So the response to that I saw was like people were saying like he had a gun on him because he didn't know whether the guy like because he was in uniform, so you don't know if he has his own weapon, you don't know if he has a bomb on, you don't know like how far he's going from it. Like I don't know. You could say
I don't
like
know.
you could say after the fact that like, oh, this is stupid, like he was obviously like in need of help and whatever. In the moment, I don't fucking know. Some crazy guy shows up and lights himself on fire. Who knows what he wants to do?
Yeah, maybe, but
Maybe you go try to put him out and he gives you a hug and you die too.
yeah. No, I could see that. I could see that happening, and that being a reason. See that reasoning, but at the same time, he's on fire, standing still, yelling "Free Palestine" in front of the Israeli consulate. So, like given those context clues, the guy's probably protesting and lighting himself on fire. Tactic that hasn't been seen in a while, but you know what? It's still out there, and he's bringing it back. I don't know. The gun just seemed unnecessary there. Whenever there were people going, I don't need a gun. I need a fire extinguisher.
Yeah.
And he died. He did die. Succumb to the injuries after this too. So
Yeah. Well, like Joey said, what do you expect? Cops gonna cop.
yeah,
So,
cops are gonna cop.
What? When I was looking up some more context for the story, I came across some Reddit posts from him that we're gonna get to. But first, I just want to say this guy's stealing other people's ideas, not only from the Middle East, but apparently a person set themselves on fire outside the Israeli consulate in Atlanta in December. How come we didn't hear about that?
Oh yeah.
No one fucking said anything about that. I just learned this today because I was looking up some other stuff about the story and it just popped up. But
Who the folk is that guy?
yeah, I don't know, but apparently no one cared about him setting himself on fire. Anyway, there were some Reddit posts that later came out about this guy, about some of the things that he had said on Reddit and some other places. Aaron Burnell was it, or Aaron Bushnell? Sorry, what was his name? What's his name? The Intercept. I think this used to be Glenn Greenwald. His old outlet put out this story. Some of the stuff I saw, because like I said, I heard some stuff that Destiny was bringing up about it, and he actually pulled his Reddit stuff before it got banned. If you go to this is on Destiny subreddit here, but if you go to his account's been removed. So you can't go look at the post for yourself anymore, but people did take some screenshots of the post before they went away. And so some of the stuff that I pulled out of here, some stuff that he says, you and I might agree with. He says America isn't defending Ukraine, it's competing with Russia for control of Ukraine. That was kind of his takeaway as far as our involvement in Ukraine. I thought that was pretty interesting. I kind of agree with you, like on that point. But then some of his other posts later on get a little more crazy. He says I've been complicit in violent domination across the world. Again, something that I have to disagree with. I'll never get this blood off my hands. Obviously, a comment highlighting his mental health and his distress there, with whatever he's seen or whatever he's been involved with. But then he goes on to say there are no Israeli civilians or tourists who have no part in oppression in Palestine. Israel is a settler, colonist, apartheid state, and they're on stolen land, which is basically what this highlighted section here says. There are no Israeli civilians or tourists who have no part in oppression. Basically, everybody who lives in Israel or visits Israel is guilty of the genocide in Palestine. The idea doesn't make any sense and betrays lack of understanding of what the oppression in Palestine even is. Israel is a settler, colonist, apartheid state. All of its residents and their immediate forebears have moved there specifically to settle on stolen land. So has a very narrow view, in my opinion, of what the hell Israel even is or what the involvement is there. And then there's other posts that go on to say, like, there's one down here where he talks about whiteness erases culture. And he goes on to talk about, like how white culture isn't a real thing, and white culture or whatever dominates and erases all other cultures, and basic leftist bullshit. But he has a long, like, these are just some snippets from it. The Intercept article goes into a lot more detail and describes all of his different things. Like, it goes through his whole journey, basically talks about, like, it follows him on LinkedIn, and then it goes through his Reddit history where he starts off talking about, first joining the Air Force and how excited he was, and then how his perspective on everything twisted, and then he started sounding more like Hassan Piker towards the end of it. And then eventually killed himself, and like Joey said earlier, killed himself for the current thing. Dude died from the current thing. That's where I end up on the whole thing. Is like, at first when I see the story, I'm like, this guy was obviously dealing with some mental health issues, some tragic thing that was going on. But then he just went fucking crazy and killed himself for nothing. Yeah. And people are making him out to be like this hero and this martyr and somebody we should look up to. I saw, when I was doing research for this, I saw other Reddit posts that were popping up in my searches that were like, I can't stop thinking about this video. I'm worried I might do something similar. Like, oh, don't fucking do that, dude. Don't waste your fucking life. Like, don't fucking do it. It's not going to, his death is not going to change anything. Everything is going to continue on the same. Like you said, there might be some people here or there that see this video and they say, oh my God, this kind of opened my eyes to what's going on over there. But I don't think, I don't think the war is going to end anytime soon. This isn't even like America. We might be giving support in some ways, but Israel is fully capable of dealing with Palestine on their own. And they're going to keep fucking doing it because that's what's been going on there for thousands of years or hundreds of years or whatever. I'll drink. Thank you.
No, yeah, they definitely are going to keep doing it. I mean, he has some valid points about, Israel being on settled land. Like, it's not only are they on, settlements
with stolen lands.
Well, yeah, and like Joey said in the chat, point out a part on the map where land isn't stolen. Like, this has been happening for thousands of years. But my main point is they keep building settlements and intertwine. Like, if you take a look at the map of Israel and Palestinian settlements, it's interwoven with each other to the point where what used to be a solution, the two-state solution, it's almost not even feasible anymore. Yeah. Because Israel has intertwined itself so much within Palestine. And then also there's different roads. You got to go in and out through Israeli checkpoints. So yeah, I see where he's coming from completely on there. And then he does lose me whenever he talks about like the, like you said, Hassan Piker, kind of like white people this, white people that kind of stuff. But I can see arguments from either side on this one. But at this point, I think I'm leaning towards, after seeing that video of Israel just kind of mowing down people with tanks trying to get aid, I'm like, you can't really defend that. Yeah. Yeah. And then this guy obviously has done something in his time as a airman for the Air Force. He's obviously done something like drone bomb some like schoolyard or something like that, like to make him feel bad.
I'm less convinced of that because if, like, from what I understand, he was a cybersecurity like intelligence officer.
Okay.
Like that was his whole thing. So I think like he might have had like, you know, when you work somewhere, you have access to things that maybe you should or shouldn't have, like colleagues share with you or something like that. Like I'm sure that he's probably seen some things that we haven't seen. His direct involvement in it, I'm not convinced.
Maybe
But
he sees all the video, like every single. Maybe
right.
he was the one that had to look at all the drone killings. It's just like
I don't know what
on
that
him.
has to do with cybersecurity though. Is like you're dealing with people trying to hack your shit.
Got to keep it locked down. You got to keep them from hacking
So
the.
you watch videos of shit we do. I don't know.
I mean, you look at the Julian Assange when he released that wiki. Well, not I guess yeah, it was Bradley Manning, Chelsea Manning, via WikiLeaks when they released
Right.
all those videos of the U.S. going brazied.
Yeah. Yeah,
Going brazy.
That's what I mean. Like maybe he has access, but I think what Joey just said, like he spent too much time on the internet. I think that was, I don't know. That's my read of the whole thing. I could be wrong. Who fucking knows? Maybe we'll find out in a couple weeks, like how deeply he was actually involved in some of this stuff. But from especially when you read that Intercept article, when they go through his history, it just seems like he spent so much time online. Like he was a Twitch stream, or he tried to be a Twitch streamer before this whole thing, where he was trying to do like playing video games and doing whatever. He made a lot of references to Valheim and some other stuff. You know, he was doing like all of that kind of stuff. And then one day everything switched and he started talking about, you know, how cops are killing black people. It's all white people's fault. And then he started going down this Palestine thing, the whole socialist YouTube bullshit.
He got super black pilled too. So yeah, I mean,
yeah, he got super black too. He got burned.
I mean, you know, and I can see how you could do that if you really put yourself in the shoes of these people, and how that can get depressing. And that's why it's better to, I don't know, you got to look at it. You got to look at it as a whole, I guess. Maybe he thought that because he was a part of the military, that he was a part of the problem. Yeah. I don't know.
And like at that point, like if you're in the military right now, and like what are the punishments for leaving the military? They fucking arrest you and you spend some time in jail? Like, is that probably the worst possible scenario? Like,
I think so.
If you want to get out of the military, like, I'm sure that you could like fake something, like.
If just refuse to take an experimental vaccine.
Right. You can do something like that though. Like what that's what I'm saying is you can come up with some kind of reason to get kicked out. You could just not show up to work for 2 weeks.
Yeah.
Like they're going to kick you out eventually. There's a whole bunch of other things you can do rather than set yourself on fire. But obviously guy had some other shit going on. Otherwise he wouldn't have done something like that.
Yep.
Anyway, so this was a story that I originally grabbed from InfoWars. Actually, I was like, I got tired of looking at Drudge and some other shit.
Oh,
and
great!
I was like, let's go see what InfoWars has to say. Listen, there's a lot of shit on InfoWars, but every once in a while you find a nice gem, and that's what I think I got with this story here.
He's kind of retarded.
He's kind of retarded, but you know what? He's right more often than he's wrong.
Yeah.
But anyways, I kept the article because it wasn't an InfoWars original. It was something that they shared from Zero Hedge. This was a California sheriff who was going off on radical progressives for the explosive crime rate that California has been experiencing. So we put this in our watch together here. So let me go ahead and blow this up. This was a speech that he gave talking about this. And I think it goes well. Let me see about that.
Good morning.
Oh, sorry.
Good morning. Chad Bianco, Riverside County Sheriff. We are here today because California public safety is in crisis. Crime is steadily on the rise, and our public safety policy is one of the worst, if not the worst, in the nation. I want to make this clear, and I want there to be no mistake in what I am saying. This is not by accident. The driving force in our crisis is a radical, progressive agenda fraudulently called criminal justice reform. This is nothing short of a sick and twisted social experiment where law enforcement is the bad guy and criminals are somehow victims of society and not responsible for their actions, their crimes, or accountable to their countless victims. This agenda began with the passage of AB 109, the so-called Public Safety Realignment Act. State government failed to take responsibility for prison overcrowding or their failure to build more prisons, and instead forced county jails to house state inmates while simultaneously releasing thousands of felons early. This has pushed our county jails to a near collapse and caused the early release of countless criminals. Thousands upon thousands of criminals are being released from custody early, crime is increasing, and our governor is closing prisons instead of building new ones. It defies common sense. In 2014, a complete fraud was perpetrated in California. The so-called Safe Streets and Safe Schools Initiative, Prop 47, changed many felonies to misdemeanors, basically legalized drug use, and increased the amount of petty theft to nearly $1,000. In 2016, another lie was perpetrated on voters with the naming and wording of Prop 57, tricking voters into approving the release of thousands of violent criminals onto our streets and neighborhoods. This is why we are here. Everyone knows Prop 47 and 57 are disasters, and yet Governor Newsom adamantly touts it as a success, and lawmakers continue to refuse to fix their mistake and the problems that they have created. When once crimes are no longer crimes, it allows Governor Newsom and Attorney General Bonta to cite completely flawed data points to support their failures. Californians are now suffering the consequences of a failed social agenda. We are now at our breaking point, and Californians have had enough. The lie of Prop 47 has been exposed, and the progressive love affair with criminals at the expense of victims has infuriated law-abiding Californians. While we suffer every day with rampant theft causing our small businesses to close and our large box stores to move out of state, our supermajority of lawmakers sit here in their guarded tower, oblivious to what is going on in their communities, experiencing drastic increases in all crimes, particularly violent crimes. Over the past 5 years, law enforcement has been unable to get our progressive left majority to even consider any new law or modification to an existing law that would increase punishment or send criminals to prison. Reality has gone completely upside down to the point our governor, our lawmakers, and our attorney general refuse to prosecute criminals, to include those criminals committing crimes with guns, and instead have dedicated their efforts to disarm and remove constitutional protections of self-defense from law-abiding Californians.
That was a pretty good point right there, what he made, talking about violent crimes and taking away the people's and the store owners' right to protect themselves constitutionally. However, I would like to read what kind of laws that these guys were trying to pass. Like if you're trying to boost prison sentences for nonviolent drug offenders or something like that, and it's tied in the same bill, I could see why they wouldn't pass something like that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. We don't have to watch all of it. I think the beginning part was really the part that caught my attention, where he was talking about how this is not a choice, or this is a choice. This is something that's not by accident. This is it's not some uncontrollable thing. The fact is that they're letting out violent criminals. And, I think there is a distinction to be made there. You and I would probably agree with, disagree with something that he said in there about how, they're legalizing drugs or whatever. You and I might disagree with one of those parts. But one thing that I think that we would agree with is that people who go in and brazenly shoplift should probably be fucking arrested. And should probably be tried and should have some kind of punishment for that. And in California especially, you see that that's not the case. That time and time and time again, these criminals are not only either they get ignored right away. You remember that video came out a couple months ago in Banana Republic or something like that. They just walked in, took everything right off the front shelves, and then just walked right out the fucking building, and nobody could stop them. The store ended up shutting down later on. There's tons and tons and tons of those stories in California. And this is just Joey was saying, is this guy new to politics? Does he not understand what's going on here? I think that it's a sign, you and I might agree, this has been something that's been a problem for a long time, but I think it's a sign that people are starting to notice and they're starting to be fed up with the shit. And maybe there's a change coming. What you're getting at is I think you got to be careful. Like, I think you got to be careful not to push things too far in the wrong direction. That we got to, like, we can't just say, like, everything's a crime and everybody can be arrested for any reason. But at the same time, like, property crimes, like, those are pretty important. People in California and other left-leaning individuals, they might not see property as worth somebody's life or whatever, but that's someone's livelihood, So
Right.
I don't know. To me, it was interesting because you don't really see this a lot. Usually, sheriffs and other people in California, this is what they want. They're fine with this. This is okay. And this was an instance where somebody's pointing it out, and in my opinion, rightly points out that this is not by accident. This is a choice. They're letting these people out. They're letting them get away with crimes. They're making them, no bail arrest. These kinds of policies just perpetuate crime, and it doesn't get any better.
Yeah, and so close to LA too. This Riverdale County,
Yeah.
whatever he said. Yeah, it's right to the east of LA, so pretty close to the belly of the beast there. Really, for all progressive policies. Yeah, I think we're on the same page there. I just wanted to point that as, like, I always like to, look at that before I'm like, yeah, this guy's completely right, because he might have been pushing for, jailing of nonviolent offenders as well. But yeah, releasing criminals, and obviously California's got a problem with this petty theft and even break-ins and cars and stuff now, like from San Francisco all the way down to the border.
Yeah, that was something that always pissed me off when I lived in Polk County, is everybody's like, oh, Grady Judd's great. Just because you only heard his policies as far as guns go. As far as guns go, the guy's fine. Like, well, he's half fine. He says, it's great to defend yourself, and it's great. Like he got famous, or one of the reasons he got famous was during the Black Lives Matter riots, where he was saying, like, I encourage people in Polk County to own guns, and I encourage them to carry guns. And if you step through their doorway, I encourage them to blow you out the back, or something like that. He said something to that effect, where basically, like, he's encouraging, self-defense and private property defense and all that kind of stuff. And so people applauded that, rightly so. That was a good policy. What people don't realize is he's also the number one enforcer of red flag gun laws. Any reason that he could think of to take away your gun, he's going to do it, because it's better to be safe than sorry, is basically his mentality. And then the other thing that he's really bad on is drug crime. He's super against marijuana or anything else. And, I understand his perspective. I know a lot of the Polk County sheriffs or cops or deputies or whatever the fuck they're called. I know a lot of them. And one of them used to watch my kids. Like, we're very close, and I met a lot of people through that experience. And their perspective is it's against the law, and therefore we have to enforce it. So I understand where they're coming from with that, but that leads to a whole bunch of other consequences later down the road that I don't think that they really take into account. They're looking at it from the narrow perspective of, this is my job. My job is to enforce the law. This is against the law. Therefore, it's wrong. But, I don't know. Like you said, I wanna be supportive initially, but I have to recognize what this guy's saying, that it's not a choice. This is something that's dictated through policy, and California gets what it fucking deserves.
Yeah, and, like, good on stores for taking business elsewhere. That's the only thing you can do if you constantly get robbed. What else are you supposed to do?
Yeah. Well, you could take the path of Milei over here, and you could say, we're going to make changes with or without you. So kind of like a better news story, I guess. Milei recently came out in his, I guess what you would equivocate to the State of the Union speech, I guess. He was speaking to lawmakers in Argentina.
Yeah, he dropped like 10 principles for his new economic policy reforms, right?
Yeah, he did. I didn't read all of them. I was just reading what was in the articles. But, he was saying, we're going to do good. We're going to make change for this country for the good, with or without the support of our political leaders. He says, if you're looking for conflict, you will have conflict. It reminds me of that. I don't know if you've seen that clip with Alex Jones. He's like, if you want to fight, you damn well better believe you got one.
Yeah.
Like, that's what that kind of reminded me of. And then he goes on to say, he's asking the citizens there for patience, saying it will be some time before we can perceive the fruit of our economic reorganization and the reforms we're implementing. Currently, there are more than 60 lawsuits in process by labor unions, non-government or NGOs, non-government organizations. And there's also massive protests in Argentina related to what he's been doing lately in slashing government. A conversation that I wanted to have with you about this, I don't know, so we get deep into libertarian debate and thought sometimes, right? And one of the things that I used to hear a lot is you can't force freedom on people. You can't just come in and Ron Paul used to talk about this too. He's like, just because I get elected president doesn't mean that I can fix the country overnight. Not every power is invested with the president. Looking at Milei, I know it's not America, but the guy is just like, you know what? Y'all don't want to come with me? Fuck you. I'm gonna do it anyway. I'm gonna make you free whether you want to be or not.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're on the same page there. I think from what you're saying is, from what you're saying, I can gather that we're kind of thinking he might be a little bit too overzealous in trying to push this thing. But he's fighting something that's been a socialist machine for decades now. So how do you combat that? Is it these overwhelming, sweeping new policies without any kind of pushback? I don't know what the best thing is. I don't think it's forcing new policies against the whole country. I think he might be showing some signs of a tyrannical leader, right? It scares me a little bit.
Yeah.
It does scare me a little bit.
Okay.
Right? Because then you look at his policy on abortion. I think he wants to outlaw abortion completely, which that means enforcing that law as well. And then I'm pretty sure he's pretty pro-Israel, right? So I don't know what kind of help he wants to offer in that arena, but so I don't think he's completely anti-war there. So
it would be hard for me to imagine that somebody who's a hardcore libertarian, an anarcho-capitalist as he calls himself,
right,
would support foreign aid. That's surprising to me.
Right. So that's why some of these things I'm like, okay, I want to wait and see how the policy shakes out, how he shakes out, I guess, divvying out these new economic policies.
Yeah.
If people are gonna oppose him in doing so, because like you said, it's about voluntarism, it's about consent, it's not about force.
Yeah.
Which is a main part of libertarianism.
Yeah, to be fair, I think a lot of these protests, if you look at this one here, this is the big one that they show, is the union is hosting this huge protest or whatever outside the Argentinian capital or whatever. But who's starting this? This is the unions. They want benefits for their employees, and they would not specifically, they want government benefits because, Milei's not trying to take away private enterprises benefits. He's trying to restrict what government's involvement is in all of this shit. And so, to be fair to Milei for a second, is, I think a lot of what he's targeting is good. I think that the backlash here, I'm curious, and what Joey asked is exactly what I'm getting at. He said America is arguably a quasi-socialist state too. What happens if we got what amounts to a libertarian dictator? And that's kind of what the conversation I wanted to have with you is I don't know how American libertarians, I know a lot of them, I don't know how they would react to massive protests in the street, saying that they're taking away our livelihood. If you look at some of the comments that are on this article about this union protest, they're talking about how they're going to have a lower standard of living. They're worried about their future. This is not what Argentina is about. They say a lot of stuff that you would hear in America too. from labor unions here. Like these are, government is helping us because they're supporting our minimum wage and minimum standards of quality of life and this kind of bullshit. Like if this was happening in America and we had a libertarian president, I could very easily see a lot of libertarians, especially the more hardcore libertarians, saying like, this is unacceptable. Like, he's forcing freedom. You're not supposed to do that. Like you were saying, consent. Where do you draw that line? Because if the government is benefiting these unions through money or whatever the fuck it is, like healthcare or whatever, that's taking from one and giving to the other. That's just as much in violation. But I don't know. I don't know how people are going to react to this. One thing I do know is that whatever happens in Argentina is going to be a reflection on libertarians moving forward. And if it's successful, it will be a positive thing. And if there is any negative to it at all, it will be blown up as this is why you can't do libertarian policy.
Yep. I mean, he even said it's for a while it's gonna be rough, and that's what Ron Paul has always said. It's like the hangover theory, right? You can't keep drinking. You have to stop at some point, and when you stop, it's gonna be bad. And here, I'm not sure how the unions necessarily work in Argentina and how much the government was involved. If I had to guess, it was in a big way, to a big extent. So, like, if it was done like that in America, I mean, it's a policy change by a government that was duly elected.
Yeah.
That's how I would say. But what kind of force are we talking about? If it's just a policy change and the guy got elected and your union is benefited from the government and run by the government, then that's going to be a positive policy change.
Yeah, we got to put a call out there because you and I have talked off air about, having guests on, and this is one guest this is the one that comes to mind right now anyway, of a guest that I would like to have on about this kind of subject. Somebody who's involved in Argentina that knows what's going on and, understands the situation on the ground and how things have changed. Because I was trying to look up, like, to add context to the story, I was trying to find, like, how have things changed since Milei's been in office? What is the standard of living or whatever? What is the situation on the ground there? Like, are people seeing actual benefits from this, or is the media reports that I'm seeing basically saying that everything's negative? Is that true? Like, what the hell's going on? No, I do not want the milk toast on. We're not doing that.
No, I wasn't.
No, Joey said that.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, he's only been in office for like a month. It's what I was telling that dumbass on Twitter the other day. It's like he took a screenshot from the article that I posted and said, well, inflation's up under Milei, and put the numbers there. And Milei has only been in there for 1 month, and it's a 12-month cycle.
Did he say 211%? Was that it?
Yeah, something like that. I don't know.
That was December.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because I've read a bunch of articles today that were saying that 211% number was from December.
Yeah,
it doesn't take into account everything that he's done since he.
No, this one it said it was up since he's been in office in January, but that's not a reflection whatsoever in the inflation rate on what he's done, because he was literally in office for less than a month when that number came out. So I think you got to give him more time. This is only his second month in office, and right now things are gonna look bad because you're taking out a whole system to rebuild a new one, a capitalist system. So it's gonna be bad. But then when people go, oh wait, I could just get another job. I don't know what he's gonna do with pensions and stuff. That's a whole nother thing. It's like, what are you gonna do with government pensions that were promised to these people who worked years and years in that industry?
I'm not sure. He said in his speech that he wants to forge a new social contract that includes non-negotiable balanced budgets and inviolable private property. I don't know. I still haven't looked that word up. I meant to look it up. This is a word I don't know. What's inviolable? Inviolable, secure from violation or okay, I guess that was pretty obvious. Inviolable. I just have to pronounce it correctly. So anyway, he's in his speech, Milei was saying that he seeks to forge a new social contract that includes a non-negotiable balanced budgets and inviolable private property and historic reductions in government spending, reducing it to 25% GDP. For reference, America's GDP spending is about 23%, something like that. So trying to get it in line with the rest of the world, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, it's a positive move, but you're going to have backlash whenever people start feeling it, dude. You're just going to have it.
Yeah, and I just wonder, like, I don't think that we're close to a libertarian revolution in America. I think we want to think that we are, but we're not near where Argentina was before they elected Milei. I don't think that we're that far down yet. And, like Joey's saying, I thought libertarian was magic and all things become perfect immediately. I'm curious, like let's say we get our libertarian, let's say Rec or whoever the hell gets elected as president right away. There's going to be a lot of people, I think, that even on our own side that will criticize that person, whoever it is, and say, like, they're doing things too quickly, they're doing things too abruptly. Look at all these people suffering. We have to worry about them. We have to worry about this, that, the other. I'm not confident. But,
and then again, like, I don't know, because I felt like I could tell a stark difference in when Trump left office and when Biden took office, and after the Fed started printing a shit ton of money for COVID and Ukraine and everything, like, in the market and just buying things and the housing market. I feel like there was almost an immediate negative impact on everyone's livelihood. And so maybe America's not that far down the rabbit hole where some positive policy changes like this would affect people's pocketbooks in a heavy way.
Yeah, I don't know. We're not.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know, but
yeah. I say I don't know a lot. I feel like Josh. Josh says sure a lot. I say I don't know a lot. I gotta.
Yeah, yeah. But to be honest.
Ignore that.
Okay.
Sorry. Yep.
Okay, you're good. Yeah. But if we can feel that immediate difference, then I think we could feel a positive difference, slowly, but with the right changes.
Yeah, I don't know. So what Rob was getting at there for a second, for all the live viewers, this will be edited out for the final cut. But something new that
lawyers for the former president.
Shut up, bitch. Something new that I wanted to add for maybe a recurring segment. We'll see how this one goes. Basically, so what I did was I didn't want to be in this echo chamber where we're just, looking at stories that are relevant to us. And I made some changes too. I went through our Twitter profile and I unfollowed a bunch of accounts. So sorry if you got unfollowed, but you're probably not saying anything worth paying attention to. Think I wanted to try to pull us out of the echo chamber. Somebody said something before. I think it was that guy you were talking about on Twitter. This guy was saying some shit like, you're just a libertarian or whatever. And I was telling him, like, libertarians are the last people that I want to reach. I'm trying to find some other people to talk to, try to influence things on a grander scale. Libertarians make up less than 5% of the entire country, and that's being very generous. And so, like, I want to try to reach other people. Tim pushes button to tell the poor internet woman to shut up. You goddamn right, dude. They got to listen. I'm running out of beer here. They got to learn their place. Bring me some more. Anyway, so my thought was, I wonder what, like, mainstream people who watch politics are interested in. And then my thought was, like, what are the top, like, the most watched political videos or whatever? There's not a site that aggregates them. There's not, like, you can't go to, like, mostwatchedYouTubeVideos.com and find this. And so I did it myself. I went on YouTube. I grabbed the top 3 sites. I went to Fox, MSNBC, and CNN. I figured those are probably, like, the largest names as far as, like, video and whatever that people have. And so I have not watched any of these videos. All I've done is went through their last week of videos and grabbed the ones with the most views. I figured the most views is probably the one that there's the most reaction to. So you and I are going to watch these for the first time together, and feel free to pause whenever, and we'll see how it goes. And if it's something good, then we'll keep it going. And if it sucks, we'll scrap it and try something else. But here we go.
Lawyers for the former president revealing some
Oh, let me start. Fox News had the lowest viewed video. All of these videos are over 1 million views, but this was the lowest. MSNBC had second, and CNN, the most trusted name in news, had 2 videos that broke 1 million, and they're very close. So I put them both in. I ranked them, of course, but you know, we're starting with the lowest number of views, working our way up. So this is a Fox News audience. This is what most Fox viewers probably watched.
Lawyers for the former president revealing some explosive cell phone data in a new court filing. They
I can't hear
claim
the video
that
for some
Nathan
reason.
Wade made at least.
Can't hear it.
Nope. Maybe I
Lawyers
need
for
it.
the former
There we
president
go.
revealing some explosive cell phone data in a new court filing. They claim that Nathan Wade made at least 35 visits to the neighborhood where the Fulton County DA was living. They say, they go as far as alleging that Wade stayed overnight at her condo back in 2021. But the pair says the romantic relationship began in early 2022 after she'd brought him onto the Trump case. The new data seems to contradict what both Wade and Willis testified to under oath.
So if phone records were to reflect that you were making phone calls from the same location as the condo before November 1st of 2021, and it was on multiple occasions, the phone records would be wrong?
He's like, oh, shit, man, they got that?
Why is he crying, dude? Like, what's the
If phone
problem?
records reflected that, yes, sir.
They'd be wrong.
They'd be wrong.
Did anyone else stay with you at the Yurti condo,
Okay.
including Ms.
What?
Yurti?
Yeah, this is a very lonely period in my life. I don't think anyone ever spent the night.
Judges, you're not buying it over there. But listen, just
I
because
ain't
he was
buying it.
there
What the fuck?
doesn't mean, how can I say this for
That he
after the
slept
show?
with her?
That there was boot knocking going on.
Okay, let me explain one thing. I want you to think about this. He gets to her house at 3:30 in the morning, right?
Uh-oh.
No, he gets to her house at 10:45 at night.
Okay.
He leaves at 3:30 in the morning. He gets to his house at 4,
Got
goes
that
back home
stamina,
at 4,
bro.
and then texts her
Trying to
at about
glow
5
up.
minutes after 4. Now, I
still
don't think
know
they're
what that
texting
means.
about a case. She's telling her what a great night he had. Look, here's the bottom line. This case just blew up. Fannie Willis
glowed
not
up.
only has the appearance of impropriety, not only an actual conflict, Fannie Willis perjured herself. Her boyfriend perjured himself. They lied under oath. Each of them said they didn't have a relationship until 2022. Now, Robin Yater, whatever the name is, she said, no, it started in 2019. I saw them. They were hugging. They were kissing. And you know what? She ain't a great DA. I never thought she was that smart. She doesn't know how to conduct herself in a courtroom, clearly. But this woman is so dumb, she doesn't even realize that cell phone analytics can identify the exact location of your phone, not the area, but the exact location based upon the cell tower. That's how we prove crimes. We've been doing it for years, Fanny. And here's the thing. In 2021,
Except when it applies to election fraud. Just saying.
before they hooked up, they texted each other more than 1,000 times a month, but they weren't boot knocking. And they called each other more than 2,000 times a month. More to the point, he's going to her house. He's sleeping there. He's leaving, going home at least 2 nights. She calls her friend Robin a liar. Look, this man has no experience as a felony prosecutor or with RICO. She has no experience in a courtroom. The two of them are ridiculous. She was able to fund a lavish lifestyle that she took part of with this stupid claim, I paid him back in cash, that itself is incredulous. The only question now is whether or not the judge is going to have the chutzpah to call it for what it is. And this is perjury. The bottom line is Wade got paid, Willis got laid, and the taxpayers got played.
She forgot her own line there. We don't have to watch the whole thing. I think it's clear what they're talking about there.
Yeah.
Have you been following the Fannie Willis and all this bullshit?
Yeah. It's
so
the
tell me
whole
what
thing when she was
tell
like,
me
I
what
paid
the
in
fuck
cash.
is going on?
Okay, so basically conflict of interest with the DA there, Fannie Willis, hiring. I don't know. I forgot his name. It's been about a week or two since I've looked at this stuff. So basically to prosecute this Trump case there. And so now they started digging into whether there was some impropriety between Fannie and the guy she hired, and there was. Obviously, from how the case is going and from the clip we just saw there. And basically they're asking, how were you paying for all this? Were you paying for his meals? And he was like, yeah, she'd paid me. I would pay for her sometimes. And, she would pay me back. And then they got to the point where they were asking her, how'd you pay him? And she was like, straight cash, baby. Only and they're okay. Well, where'd you get the cash from? She's like, from my blood, sweat, and tears. I've worked all my life. I keep some cash on me. My dad's always told me. Yeah. She said my dad's always told me as a woman I need to keep cash. She'd like try to spin it in that way. She briefly mentioned that she took some cash from her leftover campaign funds, which I don't know how that is. I don't know if that's illegal or legal or whatnot, but mentioned that. So basically, I think people are trying to get at, is this taxpayer money that you were paying this guy who you had an improper relationship with? So we'll see what the end of the case holds.
So my understanding is the Fannie Willis case is about election fraud, saying that, he put up like false electors or whatever. What the fuck does any of this have to do with that case? Why is this relevant?
Yeah, it's just the conflict of interest. It's the whole lawfare that's been going after Trump. Now it's Trump's lawyers coming back and saying, okay, you're gonna fuck with us, we're gonna fuck with you, and we're gonna do these not frivolous lawsuits because it's not for nothing, but we're gonna make sure everything's kosher, and right here, not kosher.
Yeah, so they're saying, is what they're saying like, you have a conflict of interest within this case, you should have been removed from this case, you shouldn't have even been trying this case, and therefore you want the whole thing thrown out?
Yeah, from what I understand, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So this is just another drama piece in that whole story.
Yeah. I mean, it is wild. It is wild. And then this isn't even as bad as that one mayor. I think she's the new Chicago mayor, right? Yeah. That's been shutting down businesses that don't support her financially.
Yeah.
That shit's wild. We should talk about that next episode. I want to get into this girl.
All right. Well, you share it with me and we'll put it on here. But,
okay.
We're going to keep going. This is the next one here. This one was from MSNBC. Let's see what MSNBC viewers find to be the most interesting this week.
Donald Trump, who just won, we projected to be the winner of the South Carolina primary right at closing and went right to the microphone. Of course, we are always sort of balancing these twin imperatives as a news organization, which is...
Well, you never know when a truckloads of unsigned, written-in ballots might come in, Tim.
That individual is likely to be one of the two major party nominees for the presidency, and voters should see who that person is, and not in a filtered and protected way. But of course, when we do that, then he says a lot of things that are untrue. For instance, he talked about prisons, jails, mental institutions, asylums, and terrorists coming over the border. He said one which is baseless, but a key point. He factually said that he fixed the border, that it had never been as bad. The record apprehensions actually happened December 2019, before COVID. He talked about the auto workers being with him. The UAW has endorsed Joe Biden, and he also said he got 1 million more votes in 2020, which I think was a referral to the big lie that he won the election, that he actually lost by 7 million votes.
Chris, there's also one note from I guess I would say the Taylor Swift campaign and the conspiracy theorists who were everywhere 2 weeks ago saying that there was a concerted effort by the NFL to help Joe Biden become the next president, standing directly behind Donald Trump.
Was that Woody Johnson?
What the fuck did she just say? The NFL is concerting an effort to re-elect Joe Biden because of Taylor Swift.
Yeah, that was the whole big conspiracy, because it's been a thing this whole season.
What?
As a person who watches NFL, we were like, oh, the Chiefs are going to wind up in the Super Bowl. It's going to be Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce. Travis Kelce's going to win the fucking Super Bowl. And people thought that she was going to come out and endorse Biden because she's a lefty and that's what she does. And then Travis Kelce got super left too. So yeah, people were floating that out there. They were.
This is ridiculous.
I don't think it was as big of a deal as like they're making it out to be. I feel like they're kind of taking advantage.
Maybe they're just memeing. Right.
They are a little bit. They are a little bit. Like, it was a thing that some people were saying, not that everyone took it super seriously, but like the Chiefs did win the fucking Super Bowl. And like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce were huge. And it's not like Travis Kelce wasn't showing up in all sorts of commercials, like being the new Pfizer bro, you know? Like he was like the two shots in one. I'll take my flu shot and my COVID shot at the same time. Like, that's gonna piss some people on the right and like on our side off, I think, right? If you see this guy going, oh, Pfizer, when you know he's like not taking the shot, maybe he is, but he's obviously getting a whole fucking bunch of money to do that.
I don't know. T Swizzle 24 says Joey. I don't fucking know. The title of this clip, by the way, is Uncle Ramble Standards. Maddow reacts to Trump's incoherent South Carolina speech. So that's what this is supposed to be. I don't know what the fuck this Taylor Swift shit is. Let's keep going.
Woody Johnson,
I thought it was
and
Woody
his
Johnson.
Wife, Woody Johnson, the owner of the New York Jets.
Yeah, I was like, I think that's Woody Johnson. He was there.
Ramaswamy and his big, deep plans about what the NFL is up to. Tell me what Woody was doing there.
Woody Johnson up there, along with a bunch of South Carolina officials, including, you heard him mention the governor, Henry McMaster, who's the governor of South Carolina.
Mr. Governor, because he doesn't know his name. Now, if Joe Biden was on a stage with a governor and said, Mr. Governor, because he couldn't at that moment think of the name, there would be headlines everywhere. And when Donald Trump was doing his initial thanks, it was to his family.
He also looked
and
their
if
names
you want to re-roll the tape, you'll see him reading
the notes
from notes, beginning with the word Melania, which he got wrong yesterday. He called her Mercedes yesterday in his speech. So yes, there's a presidential candidate who doesn't get his wife's name right, but you won't find out about that.
I think this is so funny, dude. Did you see the clip with Seth Meyers with Joe Biden making fun of Trump for saying Mercedes instead of Melania and all that stuff?
Yeah, and they're taking it out of context, if I believe, right?
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
Readers added context, as the Twitter post said.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah.
I think they're kind of trying to do this thing where they flip
Yeah.
the Joe Biden, like, because if you're honestly gonna make this argument about Trump, then you got to make it for Biden too.
You have to.
You have to.
Yeah, but they won't. They won't. You know,
He called Jill his sister. He called Jill his wife his sister.
That's what I'm saying. There's so many gaffes for Joe Biden, and then if you want to be charitable to Trump, you say he was talking about Mercedes, the wife of the RNC chairman or whatever. Or if you want to say,
or that whore I pissed on in Russia.
Yeah, exactly. Or you could be this charitable and say that he totally fucked up the name. But if you're gonna do that, which is what they're doing, then you have to go and say, okay, but also Joe Biden has fucked up 100 times to every one time Trump has fucked up.
Yeah, and Biden's read off cue cards. He literally had there was a screenshot of the cue card he had. It was like, stand here, take question from this media member, then leave. Don't take any more questions. Like, okay, he was reading off note cards, and I don't know the governor's name, the South Carolina governor's name. Do you know the South Carolina governor's name?
No, I remember Haley, who used to be it. And now
So Trump is golfing. Trump is going to the border to talk. Like, he doesn't fucking know that guy's name. He does not give a shit what that guy's name is.
You just say the governor. That's it.
Yeah.
Classic. I don't know. I want to see. Apparently, Maddow's the one that got all the reactions, so I'm trying to get to her.
Among the headline writers and
Lawrence,
political
perhaps
coverage.
it would be easier to get her name right if she were standing next to him at the podium, but alas, she is not.
Rachel, do you have specific thoughts? I'm going to go to Joy after that about what we saw there. I mean,
I hate all of these people, actually. Every single one.
He was not as sort of petulant and aggrieved towards Nikki Haley as the last time. He was basically not talking about her, but it was the shtick that we all know so well.
Yes, I mean, there's all the weirdness of it. He did have to read his the names of his immediate
family's
family
name, yeah.
members off of a card.
He did get them all right.
And it's yes, it's true. There's that. There's the saying that the auto workers are with him when, as you mentioned, the auto workers just endorsed Joe Biden. But in terms of, what else do you look for in a speech like that? He didn't go.
The auto workers union.
Yeah.
Yeah, whatever.
On the offensive against
that
Haley.
is a Trump. That is a Trump move, though. Like, even if you have like a whole union endorsing Biden, you'd be like, "But the workers, they're with me."
The people, they know where the truth is.
Yeah.
The Republican Party being unified, that is a normal thing to say. He then even tried to credit what he described as the people standing behind me, who he described as national officials, state officials. They're state officials, but they're really national. They're the most important state officials in the country. The state, it's the country. Like, what are you talking about? So there's it's not even stylistic. There's a general incoherence Uncle Ramble standards thing going on with him that doesn't get a lot of attention because the mainstream press, particularly the print press, has much more enjoyed talking about Joe Biden and the signs of his age. But Trump is rambling and incoherent even when he is at his best and even when it's early in the evening. And tonight, even just getting that slice of it is a real reminder of that, which again is Nikki Haley's main message, right? Nikki Haley's mainly arguing both Trump and Biden are unfit. You should pick me instead. Republicans don't want to pick her instead. But the manifest unfitness of Donald Trump for the basics of campaigning are on display every time he gets behind a microphone.
To that point, there was a very
What the?
Look at her face. Look at her face. That's like, I don't know. I can just look into her eyes and tell that she's making millions of dollars just spewing bullshit on mainstream television because she doesn't take that same objective stance towards Biden at all.
What is the point of that clip? To say that Trump
I kind of want to look, I kind of want to hear the speech. Like, I need to hear the speech now.
The Mercedes speech?
Yeah.
Yeah. You're not missing much. But like, really, he's like looking into the crowd. And people think, like, it's not like he stuttered and said, like, Mercedes. He didn't stutter. He just said Mercedes.
Yeah.
And so people assumed he was talking about his wife. I don't know. You can watch it. But
Can we pull it? Can we pull it up?
Yeah. Give me a minute. Yeah.
Yeah. Sorry,
Actually,
we can.
How about this? You pull it up, add it in while I piss. How about that?
All right. Hang on. Trump. South Carolina Beach, because I gotta see the juxtaposition of how egregious and how egregiously they're taking him out of context. Let's see. 3 weeks ago. No, that's not it. Let's see. Trump. Carolina Beach. What a total wreck. Makes a fool of himself at South Carolina Beach. This one's got the speech, but it's got some commentary on it. I don't want to find the commentary. Stops North Carolina speech rally when attend. Nope. North Carolina. Why is it so hard to find? I guess we'll use this one.
Did he find it?
I found it, but we're gonna have to skip through a little bit. Do I post it on the?
So at the top of the screen, there's a bar, like a search bar. It looks like.
Got it.
You just add it there, and then it'll pop up on the bottom, and you hit add to playlist.
Okay, I did it. I did that.
Okay, so I'll pull it here. Okay. Do you know where to skip to?
No. We'll just find it.
How long is this video? 13 minutes? Okay.
Yeah.
Let's see.
So then all of a sudden there was.
It's got some commentary laced throughout it, so we can just skip past those guys, whoever they are.
This big dump, where did it come from? And they said, oh, you're no longer leading, you're tired. And then it went.
That's Donald Trump in Rock Hill, South Carolina. Means.
And then I say the only way. Pumping it as much as they.
Pumping it means. It's entirely incoherent. Play this clip.
Before they are doing, they're pumping it as much as they can under the Trump. They're saying, keep it going, let them keep going. If this election ended as a failed election or a rigged election, and I say the only way it can end where they win is a rigged election, because what they did in 2020 is disgraceful. And look what happened. Look what happened to our country.
Next, Donald Trump.
No, yeah, I'm not gonna. This isn't gonna be the one. That's okay.
See, that's the great
Donald Trump.
No, we already did that one.
French President Emmanuel Macron.
Shut your face. Okay. I'm abusing all the women tonight. None are accepted. I have no preference. Timmy, why am I getting yelled at? Can we get an ad spot for the generic dog food?
Oh yeah, what happened?
I need to add that. If we're gonna do the OBS format, we need to add the dog food. Yeah, that'll be good. Make a note. We need to add that for the next one.
Oh, it's been noted.
We need to what we need to do is record an ad, like a live ad that we could play. And now a word from our sponsors, and then it cuts and then plays this well-produced video.
Yeah, we could do that. We can figure that out.
We'll figure something out. That's a good call out, Joey. I'm glad somebody else got. I don't know if you got the reference, but it's good.
Oh, he got the reference. He definitely understood the reference.
Okay. Don't say it. The rule is that we will refer to it, but we will not explain it. All right, this is the second most popular video from CNN. So the reason why CNN has 2 videos this week, and hopefully this is not a continuing trend, or I will veto it, but
or I will set myself on fire in front of the Israel consulate.
I will protest this shit immediately. I will have a glow up live on air
in front of Tim's house.
Well, I have to do it, so I'm not going to come to your house.
No, I would say me in front of your house.
Oh, okay.
Doing the CNN videos.
Anyway, the reason why there's 2 is because they were 10,000 views off. And when you're talking about 1 million views a video, it's hard to choose which one is the most popular. So, if one sucks, then that's fine. We got the other one. That's the way I look at it. But this is the most popular video, or second most popular video, on CNN's YouTube channel.
French President Emmanuel Macron has come under fire for suggesting the West might deploy troops to Ukraine. But despite that backlash, the Elysee isn't backing down. A palace source says Ukraine's allies must debate the issue. The source says there are all kinds of things ruled out 2 years ago that are no longer ruled out, and that France fears giving credence to the possibility that Russia can win. All this after Mr. Macron's comments, if you remember, on Monday. And to be clear, the French president didn't actually say he wanted to send troops to Ukraine. He only said it's being discussed with other leaders. Here's what he told reporters after Ukraine Aid Summit.
There's no consensus today to officially send, support, and to take responsibility for troops on the ground. But as things develop, nothing should be off the table. We will do everything necessary so that Russia cannot win this war.
Well, most European leaders agree on board with the part about defeating Russia, but the idea of sending in their own troops, well, that drew backlash. Officials from a growing list of countries, you can see that, including the UK, Germany, Spain, Italy, Slovakia, and Poland, all say they have no plans to send their forces to Ukraine.
Good.
A NATO official tells CNN the alliance won't be deploying combat troops either. And the Kremlin has also responded following Mr. Macron's comments. A spokesperson says conflict with Russia is inevitable if the West sends troops to Ukraine. And we've just seen in the last few minutes, in fact, that the State Department has also commented on this, the State Department reiterating that President Biden has ruled out sending US troops to fight in Ukraine in response to Macron's comments, saying sending Western troops to Ukraine cannot, obviously what Macron heard, cannot
be ruled out. So we have response now from the US State Department. Melissa Bell joins me now for more. And Melissa, I mean, it's clear that as we've just outlined there, the European leaders have been pretty swift in their response to Macron's comments. Before we talk about how they're responding individually, just frame for us what Macron said and how it's being received at home.
Well, essentially, what he had to announce in his press conference, and this was, Issa, in response to a question that was asked about whether this issue had been raised and debated over the course of the conference that was held here in Paris. Yes, it had, he said, because it was time that a debate began. The idea is that this should be the beginning of a debate about whether any individual countries, and we've been speaking to Élysée sources since some of that backlash that you mentioned, and what Emmanuel Macron is suggesting is not that France should encourage Germany or Poland or other countries who've now said they will not be sending troops to Ukraine to do so. On the contrary, that individual countries should be considering whether or not they are willing to send perhaps not so much initially combat troops, but things like deminers, people to help with the maintenance of Western equipment.
Are deminers that people to just run out into the field and see if there's mines?
Yeah.
Like, you go first. I don't know, man. I don't think we should be anybody should be sending troops. You know.
Oh, this is treacherous territory whenever you're talking about a NATO country in France sending troops, deminers, A miners, actual miners, any kind of troops on the ground in this hot war. Yeah, and I mean, that's pretty much. I mean, Ukraine's getting close to doing it, man. Like they have some 18-year-old troop. I saw a video of some like very young 18-year-old guys going into war for Ukraine. I mean, it's a hot war, and you're gonna send a NATO ally in there? Yeah. Don't do it.
Yeah,
don't do it.
I'm glad, we saw that picture they showed earlier with all the countries, all the countries saying that they're not going to send troops in. That's a good sign, obviously. Yeah. I couldn't help but laugh though when they said that France was going to send troops. Like, the historic cowards, you're going to send them in. People that run away from battle. I don't know.
If they send their troops in, then the farmers definitely take over in France. I mean, a lot of these countries are dealing with the farmer protests. I know Germany's dealing with the farmer protest. France was. A lot of the EU countries are dealing with that whole thing.
Right.
And it's not a good look if you're going to be like, all right, we're going to tax the farmers and we're going to send people to fight in Ukraine.
Yeah.
Not a good look for your government.
I don't know, man. I hope, like you said, it's going to be a huge escalation if they actually do start sending in troops from other countries to go support. It's one thing to send money and weapons and whatever. Like, that's like, I don't know what you call that, tertiary support, not real support, but it does help. It's a whole nother thing when you start invading and start sending in. Like, that's what I would consider it, is an invasion, if you start sending in other troops. And I think that's the way Putin probably views it too, is like, look, like, if France does decide to send foot soldiers in, how long is it until Russia's like, okay, we get to bomb you too now?
Yeah, I mean, and that's pretty much, that pretty much gives you the go-ahead, right? Like, if you're fighting a war and a country joins in on the war,
you bomb the country that's supporting.
Yeah, I mean, even from Tucker and Putin's interview, when Tucker asked him who blew up the pipeline, and Russia was like, well, I'm not going to say it, but like, I think America did it. They're the ones with the capabilities to do it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's an act of war.
Yeah. Yeah, I think if he could prove it, he would.
Yeah.
He just has like you said, like, who has the means, motive, and opportunity to do it. And he points at US, but he can't exactly say, like, I have US fingerprints on it,
Because we paid them cash with our blood, sweat, and tears. Straight cash, baby.
That's right.
We Fannie Willis them on that one.
Yeah. All right, so let's turn more domestically and look at what CNN's
Another thing that
most popular video on their YouTube channel for this week was. Oh, look who it is. Everybody's favorite.
Another thing that
Mitt
McConnell
Romney.
acknowledged today when he was announcing that he was stepping down is that he's out of step with the majority of the
Oh, I
Republican
hate
Party
this bitch too.
on national security, with his views on that. How would you define what the foreign policy view of the Republican Party is today?
I think they're different, avenues of.
Hold on a second. How would you define GOP's current stance on foreign policy?
I mean, it was kind of hard to say because they were staunchly kind of against you sending money to Ukraine, right? But then the main GOP guys, like Mitt Romney, right there, he was totally for it, and then a lot of them were for the funding Israel and this whole thing. So, I think the guys at the top, the elite, they're still staunchly war hawks, and then you got
people.
Yeah, and then you got like Rand Paul, Thomas Massey, Justin Amash, who thinks running as a Republican again, who are speaking out against war.
Yeah.
I think mainly Republicans are against the Ukraine war, funding it in any sort of way, but then also supportive of Israel and that conflict.
Yeah, I would say I think what you said is right. Like, there's going to be the duopoly people or the uniparty people that are going to support whatever aid we can give anyone because they think it wields influence or whatever reason, donors, whatever the problem is, why they support it. Doesn't really matter. They're fucking bought and paid for. The rest of them, though, I think the general Republican stance is anti-Ukraine. As far as Taiwan goes, like, they're anti-China, not necessarily pro-Taiwan. I don't really see a lot of support there. As far as Israel goes, though, it's like a flip. It's like we have to support Israel. There are only aids in the region. You have some of the evangelicals that are like, this is where the end times are going to occur, and so we have to support them. And then you'll have like some others that are just like, these are our only allies in the region, and we have to support them for that reason. But I do see like the foundation cracking on that. And I think the Republican Party generally, not talking about leadership, but talking about like, influencers and general Republicans, I do see a move away from foreign involvement and a more directed focus on nationalism and paying attention to what's going on here and supporting that first. I do see that. So I don't know what Mitt Romney thinks about this. I don't know what he's going to say. I haven't watched this yet, but we can.
Oh, I haven't watched it, but I can tell you he's going to be.
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. Yeah, let's see what he says.
Foreign policy view of the Republican Party is today.
I think they're different, avenues of perspective on that. And my own view is that, and I do believe that the majority of our caucus, of the Republican senators, believes that we should play an active role in the world and that we should defend freedom in places where it's under attack. I think, for instance, if Taiwan were attacked, you'd see the great majority
defending
of the Republican
freedom
senators say we need to help Taiwan. I want to give it weapons so it can defend itself. I believe that if there's a plain vote just to give weapons to Ukraine, the Republican senators will support that. Some were unhappy with support for the government of Ukraine, didn't want to vote for the Ukraine funding on that basis. But I think the majority of our group feels that we are better off in America if we defend the cause of freedom around the world. Otherwise, bad people, terrible authoritarians like Vladimir Putin are going to ultimately attack NATO nations, and we're going to be required by treaty to send our own soldiers into harm's way. Or we can walk away from NATO and blow up an alliance which has helped preserve.
What are the two choices? Hold on.
Authoritarians like Vladimir Putin are going to ultimately attack NATO nations, and we're going to be required by treaty.
What he fails to mention right there is we're trying to drag Ukraine into NATO. You had one of the lead speakers from NATO come out and say we are going to add Ukraine into NATO, which, yeah, welcome to World War III if you do that. And then he also fails to tell you that other countries, like we got countries like France debating on sending troops into Ukraine to fight Russia. So is Russia dragging NATO into the war, or are we dragging Russia into a war with NATO?
To send our own soldiers into harm's way. Or we can walk away from NATO and blow up an alliance which has helped preserve global peace at least among the major powers for the last 75 or 80 years.
I was just in Ukraine.
But the whole reason behind NATO is a counter force against the Soviet Union, which has been collapsed.
Yeah. Like that was the whole point of it.
That was the whole point.
Yeah.
Sitting down with President Zelensky, they are deeply worried that your colleagues in the House, Republicans in the House, aren't going to send them any more aid, that they are going to stand in the way. I mean, what responsibility do you believe Republicans will bear for setbacks on the battlefield for Ukraine if they don't pass any more aid?
Well, if we don't pass aid for Ukraine, then I think Ukraine has a very difficult time preserving their geographic integrity and life. You're going to have a lot of people who lose their life as Russia runs across Ukraine. And that will make it very clear to people around the world that you really can't trust America's word, because we made a commitment in 1994 to respect the sovereignty of Ukraine, to help defend the people of Ukraine if they were attacked. And that's what's happening. And if we walk away from that, they won't trust our word. Europe will say, hey, the United States is not with us. We're not going to be with them if there's something they want to do in the Pacific. For instance, let them deal with China. Let America deal with China.
So like the Kurds don't take our word anymore, or like the women and children of Afghanistan don't take our word for things anymore, or like these numerous counterfactions that we've funded that we've just kind of left high and dry. Like, and then what he's saying here is just completely ignoring the fact that in 2008 or 2014, we did successfully overthrow the Ukrainian government and input a Western-friendly government, which was also corrupt. This guy's dirty, dude. Mitt Romney's dirty.
It's
I don't know.
interesting to me that this is like what's I'm waiting for him to get to the point, because the title of the video is Romney, this is who I'd vote for between Biden and Trump.
I saw that part of the clip. I did see that part. He said Biden all the way.
Oh, come on. You fucking spoiled it. I was waiting for him to say it. Go ahead.
He said it.
And the issues there. So we're strong globally, in part because of our friends. We have alliances. We always talk about how the Russians and the Chinese don't have the kinds of friends we have. Well, we have friends in part because we stand together. And if we don't stand with our friends, we will lose strength, and that will ultimately come to hurt us.
So you disagree with your colleague, Senator J.D. Vance, who is making the argument that $60 billion more dollars won't fundamentally change Ukraine's stance on the battlefield.
Yeah, that is an interesting point. It just happens to be as accurate as it is irrelevant. All right, it may not change their stance on the battlefield. What it does do is communicate to the entire world.
That was very quick of a headline right there.
And we stand with our friends, and we will help freedom fighters around the world who are our friends and allies. And that's a message which is important to the people in Taiwan, to the people in Japan, to the people in India, to the people in Europe. I mean, all these people are watching to see, can you count on America? Or is America so isolationist, it doesn't care what happens to the rest of us? If that's the case.
Because we don't fund the Ukraine war against Russia to the tune of hundreds of billions of dollars, that makes us isolationists.
Case, by the way, if we cede leadership, if we're no longer the leader of the free world, if we're no longer the arsenal of democracy, then the world is going to look for different leaders. And I know at least one player that's happy to step into that role, and that's China. And a world where Xi Jinping is the leader of the world is a very dangerous world, and not good for America, not good for our businesses, for our economy, but certainly not good for our freedom.
It's also pretty amazing to hear you just put it in this simple perspective that if House Republicans block more money to Ukraine, lives will be lost in Ukraine.
Why do you hate this lady so much?
There's no question about that.
She's the lady. She's the that's Caitlin Collins. She's the one that did the Trump town hall, when Trump was like, "You're a very nasty woman." Like, do you remember that?
Yeah, I remember that comment. I don't remember her at all.
Yeah, I hate her. So just the two and their energy together.
Yeah.
And Vladimir Putin will not stop. He may take some time to rebuild his military because it's been decimated by the ill-considered attack on Ukraine, but he will ultimately go after other nations in the Baltics, Latvia, Lithuania, potentially Poland. Those are possibilities. Georgia. I mean, he will continue. He has indicated he wants to rebuild the Russian Empire, if you will, and those are NATO nations. We're obligated under treaty to come to their.
He's only going to take the Donbass region.
Defense.
I'm sorry, dude.
We
There's
are.
no way.
No. You're fine. You're fine. I want to comment on sucking Mulvaney, but no, like I think this whole thing, like with like Russia's gonna invade the world. You know, once they're done with Ukraine, this is just Poland. Vladimir Putin is the next Hitler. This whole thing, this is all bullshit. I don't buy any of it at all. The same thing with China. Like everybody's saying the same thing. Like China wants to rule the world or whatever. Like they're not gonna rule the world in the medieval sense that they're gonna take everything over. They just want to rule everything economically. Like that's the way that I see it. Is they just want to like figure out a way that they can be like. I think that they figured it out. That they're the manufacturers of the world. They produce the things that everyone else wants, and as long as they can set the price on those things, then they're in control. And I think that's the position that they want to be in as far as China goes. As far as Russia goes, they don't want people fucking invading them. They know they're a target. They know they have a target on their back. They know that they're not in the globalist, whatever, elite fucking structure, whatever this thing is. You know, they're not part of that. That doesn't make them good. But it means that they're not in that same boat as everybody else. And I think they're just trying to resist that. And they see all of these movements into Ukraine and all of the stuff going around NATO, surrounding them and that whole thing. I think they view that as a provocation, as a threat to their power, to their standing. And again, it doesn't make Vladimir Putin right. It doesn't make him virtuous or anything like that. But in a certain respect, I have some, respect, I guess, for him that he's willing to defend himself and he sees it as a threat. And he's like, well, no, fuck you. You're not going to move into Ukraine and just take it over and just move nukes over there or whatever. Like, we're just going to stop you from doing that by taking over the region. And these places belong to us. And he has this historical claim or whatever his excuse is. But I don't think it's a world domination ploy. I think it's a self-defense thing.
Yeah. And also you got to take what he's saying and juxtapose it with what we know now, that there were peace talks on the table at the beginning of this whole thing where the Donbass and then one other region that was on the table, and Russia would have walked away with that, and there would have been an end to the war in the beginning. But then Boris Johnson, going in there from the UK and for the US, said, Zelensky, don't do this. We're going to send you a bunch of weapons and we're going to fight. So just taking what he's saying, what Mitt Romney's saying right now, they're on this world domination path, and taking what we know now that was hidden from the public about the peace talks being on the table in these two ethnically Russian regions that were on the table. And then it would have been over. So what he's saying is just a flat out lie. And I guarantee you what the perfect plan for Mitt Romney would be is NATO provokes Russia. Russia attacks a NATO country, and then now Russia's at war with NATO, and they say, okay, we're at war now, so we will try to take over NATO countries. And then that's going to be perfect for the war machine and people like Mitt Romney.
Yeah, I don't know what they're going to do. You ruined the fucking surprise, but I still want to hear him say it.
It would be
because he says it like a dick.
Excuse me, penny wise and pound foolish to say we're not going to help Ukraine with weapons when the next step is a place where under treaty we would be obligated to help with not just weapons and funds, but blood. And we need to make sure that the world knows we will stand with Ukraine. I can't guarantee, as J.D. Vance indicates, that this is going to mean that Ukraine is successful on the battlefield. But I can guarantee it shows the world that we'll stand by our friends.
Do you agree with President Zelensky's analysis that Trump doesn't really understand Putin because he's never fought him?
I don't know that I can enter into the mind of Donald Trump and understand his perspectives. I think he shows more respect for Vladimir Putin than Vladimir Putin deserves. Donald Trump has said some strange things like,
bro, he's the leader of the second largest nuclear arsenal holder in the world. Like, how much fucking respect do you think he deserves? He's fucking trash. Fuck this guy.
Yeah,
like, dude, fuck you, man. Like,
I mean, that's the whole that was the whole Russian narrative that ever since Hillary Clinton has been put on Trump, and it's like, no, he's just kind of maintaining a relationship with a nuclear country.
Right. Well, like Joey says, once we start World War III, we'll finally get to see what the real weapons are. There's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know about. Everything we know is 100 years old at this point. So, who knows? But that's not good, Joey. That's not good. I don't want to know what we got. Just keep it buried in the basement, God damn it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
well, okay, Putin has killed some people, but our president's killed people too. It's like, yeah, but our presidents don't kill their political opponents and members of the media. All right, our presidents may.
But they do, though.
Fucking do they?
They do, though.
Do they?
Take us to war to protect our freedom and our interests as we understand them. That's very different than murdering political opponents and murdering members of the media and incarcerating journalists.
Seth Rich.
These are the things Vladimir Putin does, and attacking a sovereign nation, Ukraine, without provocation and killing tens of thousands of people.
There was
Kidnapping
provocation.
children. This is a very bad guy. Based upon our values, and
You're
I
a bad guy, Mitt.
are shared by people throughout the world, and I think it's fine for a president and a former president to talk to leaders of other nations.
Wasn't even close.
But be clear-eyed. Vladimir Putin is a very bad person.
Nikki Haley, who is challenging Donald Trump for the Republican nomination,
Who
is
has
in
no
your home
chance of
state
winning.
today campaigning. She's gotten a lot of support from other top Republicans in your state. But her argument and what she told your constituents today is that if Trump's the Republican nominee, your party is going to lose the election. Do you agree with that?
Yeah, I don't necessarily agree with that. That's a good campaign line, I'm sure. But
So you think he could win?
Oh, sure, I think he can win. I mean, today it's kind of a toss-up. But if the election were actually held today, I think he'd probably win. I can't tell what's going to happen over the next 9 months or so. But
What does it mean if he does win?
well, a dramatic change in our foreign policy. I think the people around the world say, okay, America is no longer the leader of the free world and the arsenal of democracy. It's not the shining city on a hill. It's now an isolated island. There's some things, by the way, Donald Trump does better than Joe Biden, a lot. Joe Biden has made extraordinary mistakes on the immigration front. It's embarrassing how bad he's been.
Yeah, I know you care deeply about the border and
So he's made it terrible, and Donald Trump did a lot of smart things when he was president. On the foreign policy front, it would be a dramatic departure from our posture over the last 75 or 80 years that, by the way, has not only kept us safe and free from attack, but has also allowed us to build an extraordinarily strong economy and have a income per person in America about a third higher than people in Europe.
But can I just ask, I think that those comments there may raise some questions for people watching at home. Would you vote for Donald Trump over Joe Biden?
No, absolutely not. I mean, for me, there are two factors in deciding who I want to have as the leader of my country.
What's most important
and
to
the
me?
person who is the example of the president for my kids.
It's his Henry Kissinger style foreign
position
policy.
and policies. And on foreign policy, I'm not aligned with Donald Trump, at least as I understand his policy. On domestic policy, yeah, I align with many of his domestic policies. But there's another dimension besides policy, and that's character. And I think what America is as a nation, what has allowed us to be the most powerful nation on earth and the leader of the earth, is the character of the people who have been our leaders, past presidents, but also mothers, fathers, church leaders, university presidents, and so forth. Having a president who is so defaulted of character would have an enormous impact on the character of America. And for me, that's the primary consideration.
Senator Mitt Romney, thank you for coming on The Source tonight.
Thanks, Caleb.
Suck a dick, dude.
He's just collected a big check from Raytheon.
There was this big dump. Where did
All of a sudden, there was this big dump.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to watch that speech without someone going back and forth, because if it is incoherent, I do want to see it. But I always just think the media is taking Donald Trump out of context.
Dude, fuck Mitt Romney, dude.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah, I told
how
you.
did he ever? How did he ever become the Republican leader? Like, I don't know. I guess they fucking suck. That's how.
They suck. They do suck. I think that's gonna be it. I think we're done.
Yeah, I think we did it. We did 2.5 hours. Now I have the task of shrinking this down as much as possible.
Yeah, I know there's an AI. I know there's an AI thing you can use
It
to do
doesn't
that.
help. It's gonna take out bullshit. I want good stuff in, but I want bad stuff out. And like, I don't know, like random tangents like this one that I'm on right now. Like, these don't belong in the final episode. These are exclusive moments for those that join us live. And eventually, when we get to the point where we can have, memberships or whatever, then those people can come and view these on their own viewing pleasure or whatever. But until then, it's live when it's live and it's not when it's not.
Yep.
That's
All right.
kinda,
Yep.
That's kind of how I'm viewing it right now.
That sounds good to me.
But hey, man, it was a thing, right?
I like the new setup. It seems more official. So yeah, no, that was definitely a thing, and we covered a lot of meaningful topics this afternoon and evening, and I don't know, man.
It's dark outside now.
Yeah, this evening. So I don't know if I'm black-pilled after this episode, but I think I need to go decompress a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a lot of, I mean, we talked about the guy who set himself on fire, World War III. I mean,
True.
It's a lot of heavy stuff in 2024, and we're only a little over 2 months into it.
Hey, don't worry, because this week is the State of the Union address.
Whoa.
That's happening this week. It's going to happen while we're gone. We're going to be back sometime during the weekend. Look, Rob and I, we've established this new thing. We don't fucking care. Sometime during the weekend.
Yeah.
Just fucking pay attention. Follow on Twitter. Join the Discord. I'll put notifications there as soon as I get thumbnails made and all that bullshit. But, it's going to be what it is. I don't know. Audit check. How many drinks have you had, Rob?
0 today.
I'm building a motherfucking pyramid over here. Those are all empty. This is my drink.
This is your pregame for Rocket League.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, thanks for joining us. Now address the Dylan Deep Throats. I will cut the music for this bullshit. Okay? Listen. People have been calling me gay since before Dylan Mulvaney showed up for drinking Bud Light. And I'm going to keep drinking it. You know why? Because this is an American beer. And I know it's not owned by an American company anymore. I know. You call it queer beer. Listen, Jonathan McClee. I know who you are. I know the identity. And I'm not afraid of you.
Why are you gay?
No. You're not people. What did I say? People. What does this mean? Patreon? We don't have Patreon. Should we? I'm not starting a Patreon. I'll start a Patreon.
No, not right. Not yet.
No,
Not yet.
I'll start a Patreon when we hit 5,000 subs. How about that?
I thought this was America.
Yeah.
That's you. Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
Bud
Light's trying to clean up its image. I don't know if it's working or not. We'll see.
It's got this problem, dude. They sponsored this tranny dick, and now it's stuck.
They sent that to a whole bunch of people, though. But you know what? I don't even like Bud Light anyway. Like I don't like any light beers, to be honest. So.
Yeah, I don't know. I like it. It's good. People say like, oh, it's just water. I've had your strong beers. I've had your IPAs. They can all go down the drain. Fuck them. I want to sit here and enjoy my drink. And Bud Light, most popular beer in the world for a reason. Sponsored by Bud Light.
Yeah, right. Yeah, right. Okay. We'll see when that day happens.
Anyway, thanks for joining us. Join us next week. We're going to do some more bullshit. We'll get up some more stories. Join the Discord if you haven't already. and you can submit your own stories and the whole thing, and we'll cover it.
Yep. Follow me on Twitter, rvincentcomedy. I'm back, and we should be getting college football extravaganza rolling up soon. For those college football fans out there, it's on the Swampcast network as well.
Do you have a fantasy football?
A fantasy football league?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm in a fantasy football league.
How many? Like, is there room for another? I want to be. Have you ever seen The League?
Yeah.
Like the show?
Yeah, I've seen the show.
Okay, I want to be Taco.
Okay, yeah, you can. We don't have room. We don't have room in our league. That's the one we have.
Kick somebody out,
or we could start a libertarian party of Florida.
I don't fucking care.
Georgia.
I'm just gonna go like
You can find
Ohio,
one.
Georgia, Florida State. That's it. Those are the people on my team. That's it.
Oh no. So that'd be like college fantasy football. No one plays college fantasy football. Everyone plays.
Why not?
I think there's a lot more players to pick from.
Swampcast League. Yeah, I'm down for it.
I'd be down for a college football.
Do professional. But I want to tie it into the other show somehow.
Okay, the college football show.
There's no college leagues. They don't do that.
There are, but no. Like I haven't done that in years, honestly.
Listen, I think we got the people. I think we can make. How many? What's the minimum for a league?
I mean, you could probably do it with you could probably do it with 4 people, but you probably want to do it with at least 10. At least 10 people.
Okay.
Yeah.
We'll get 10 people to sign up. Go to the Sports Ball channel. Say you're interested. We'll figure it out. We don't have to do college. We could do NFL. I don't fucking care.
But, that'd be easy. That'd be easier. All right. Yeah, sounds good. We'll be back next week.
All right. We'll see you then. Adios.